Warning! The Stone Age Gamer podcast includes a lot of bad language. Cover your motherfucking ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer podcast. I'm Kris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Steaming Garbage Soup, Dan Ryan.
Wow, that was hurtful.
I can't remember what that's in reference to.
I have no idea. Usually, I get them. That one, that just feels like a personal, like, I'm sorry. Whatever I did.
I figured it out. I've been watching Ted Lasso.
Oh, okay. Now,
Tea.
yes. Now I'm not sad anymore. Because Ted Lasso's great.
It's time to level up the Alphabet Super Series by adding a rating system and maybe even ranking all the games we played. Who knows? How's it going to all work out? I hope I can remember literally anything about Alicia Dragoon because the Stone Age Gamer podcast starts now.
Whistle! Whistle!
Whistle! Hi, everyone. This is episode 544. It is the week of December 13th, 2024, and welcome. For anyone new here, this is the official podcast of StoneAgeGamer.com. Dan and I talk every week about what's happening in the world of video games from a retro gamer's perspective, as well as whatever the hell else is going on in our lives. And speaking of which, Dan, what's new and exciting in the world of Dan?
Oh, not too much. Infusion number 9 was this morning. So 3 left, man. 6 weeks. January 17th should be the last infusion. I was talking to the nurse today, and she was like, how many more do you have left and whatever? And I was like, 3 more after this. January 17th is when it's scheduled. And then I never want to see any of you people ever again. It's like, you've all been very, very lovely. But I never want to talk to any of you ever again. And she was like, no, that makes sense. That tracks.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing about it, and it's so. I'm not going to go into too many gory details because as we said, and if you've been listening to the show and kind of as we've been on this journey, the side effects are getting more difficult to manage, and things like that. We talked last week. About the eyebrows being very Matt Smith-like. They're there, but you have to look for them. So it's a little harder to find them this week, which is fine. But one of the interesting things that I don't think I've mentioned on the show, and it's just a really fucking weird sensation, is that my arms are still about as hairy as they were at the start of this. Everywhere else isn't. And that includes where you're thinking, you dirty pervs, but also my nose. There is no hair in my nose. It is a straight shot right up the nostrils to the brain. And it is the weirdest fucking feeling of like when you just, there's sometimes when you have to suck a lot of air in through your nose, and you just
There's
have
no
to do it for whatever.
The trees have left.
Oh my God. My nostrils get stuck to the inside of my nose and like boogers are just gigantic in there. Cause there's like, I blow them out. It's like, what the fuck is all of that? Jesus Christ. It's the weirdest,
It's the fucking Lorax. He's in there being like, what'd you do with the trees?
Oh my God, dude, it's so fucking strange. Like in a cavalcade of ridiculous nonsense that happens with chemotherapy. This is among the funnier things that have happened. Because I didn't realize it at first. I didn't realize it till a month or so ago. I was like sniffling or something, and I was like, fuck, why is my nose sticking to it? There's no hair in there. And I was like, Tiff, come here, look up my nostrils. She was like, I can see your brain. That's fucking crazy. It was just right up. It's fucking weird, man. That's, yeah, I don't know. It's one of the joys of hair loss, of extreme hair loss, I suppose. It's that it's just fucking gone. Yeah. It's fucking weird. It's a weird thing, man.
Amusingly enough, a nose hair trimmer is like number 1 on my Christmas list.
Oh my God, I love the one that I have. I used it all the time because nose hairs are fucking like you got to trim them.
Well, now that I'm getting older, it didn't used to be a problem, and then over the last year or so, it's been wow, this is problematic. This is an issue that needs to be discussed, and also
this is a situation. I don't have that. I don't get those.
Starting to have that.
Maybe I don't know. We'll see. One of the other fun side effects that's happened is that this week I've developed the chemo cough. So that's cool. Like that's just a thing that apparently happens, and it didn't happen the first 8.5 treatments. Second week of the 8th treatment, it was just like, now you just kind of cough. Now your throat's going to be dry. It doesn't help that like the house is super dry, the weather's super dry.
I was just going to say, how can you actually tell it's chemo cough and not just the cough that happens this time of year?
That would hit me harder. Is what the doctor said. Like I would be coughing more frequently. This is just like the chemo cough is just an annoying, like, every couple of minutes you gotta it's just you gotta Beavis and Butthead it for like a minute and then you're good. I'm like, all right, dude, that's fine too, I guess. It's how many more weeks? 6 more weeks?
Just add it to the pile.
8 more weeks? I don't know. No, 6 more. 17th of January. It's whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's been just a fucking just a weird journey. I had to call my buddy up to come help me do the brakes on the back of my car because they went. I mean, if we're being honest, I should have changed them like a month ago, but it's fine. It's whatever. But like now they need to be changed. So I had to call my buddy Frank and I was like, dude, I can't, I didn't do it before. I did the front brakes like at the beginning of chemo because brakes are pretty easy. It's really, especially on my car, like with disc brakes, it's a really simple job. It's like 10 minutes. It's one bolt once you get the tire off. It's not a big deal. But I just can't do it. I can't feel my hands well enough to manipulate tools in weird spaces, and I'm not fucking strong enough to do it. And I finally like broke down today, and I called my buddy Frank, and he was like, why did you fucking wait so long, asshole? I was like, well, because I should be able to do it. He was like, duh, cancer. You're an asshole. I'll be there Sunday. I'm like, all right, man. I appreciate it. Like, that has been weird. Like, over the last 2 weeks or so, the fatigue and weakness has gotten more noticeable because of the neuropathy, like in my hands and my feet. It's hard to, like, stand or squat or manipulate tools. So, none of which you need to do to work on a car.
No, none of those things.
No, you just look at the car and you go,
that's why there's so many recliners in garages and stuff.
That's why, from what I have learned from the Life Simulator Pacific Drive, if I just get a can of goop and I hit the right trigger on the Steam Deck, it fixes the fucking thing. Flat tires, holes in the door panel, headlights, whatever. I just need the goop. I don't have the goop. It's my problem, Chris. It's a really good game.
What's her name?
Anna Kournikova. No,
not that one.
I'm
fucking
Nicole.
What's her name?
No,
it wasn't Nicole Kidman. Gwyneth Paltrow. There it is.
There you go.
That joke would have been way funnier if I'd come up with it right away.
If either of us had been like, oh yeah, rescue Pepper Potts.
That's what I was thinking. Pepper Potts. I'm like, fucking Robert Downey Jr. What the hell's her name? The Goop Lady. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Robert Downey Jr. What's her name? Robert Downey Jr. Oh.
Nailed it. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's been a weird week. It's been my taste came back quick this time. Like I got my taste back by like Monday, which is like faster than it usually happens. So I actually like enjoyed some Thanksgiving leftovers. Nice.
I was like, oh, this is pretty sweet. Like this is what I was missing out on. Tiff made a brisket last night. It was really good.
Brisket.
Love a good brisket.
Boy, I love
potatoes.
Brisket.
Like dill potatoes. The little fucking round little potato company potatoes. I'm into it. It's good shit. And now we start the cycle again. I'm fucking sleep all weekend and barrel my way through the week and see how we're doing. But we're
Word.
close, Chris.
We're getting there. We are almost at the end of this. Well, you are. I mean, I'm just along for the ride. I'm here to cheer you on and whatnot.
Well, that's been like one of the weirdest parts of this too, is like everybody is going through this with me. You know, like obviously it is the worst for me. But like everybody is a part of it. And it's kind of weird, like not just our listeners and, you know, people that I work with and whatnot. Obviously they're invested and interested, but I have to go get blood work every other week to make sure that all my levels are okay. We don't have to adjust anything, whatever. You know, and to make sure that medication is working and things are trending in the right direction. And the place where I go to get, it's just like a LabCorp inside of Walgreens, in town. And it's the same ladies that are there every single Wednesday when I go to get my blood work done. And like, they have become a part of this journey. You know, so when I walk in, they're like, Dan, how you doing? How you feeling? You look good, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, it's this weird, they're a part of it, you know, and they're invested. And, you know, she's asking me, like Nikki, who's the girl who takes my blood every time, which, how weird is that? I know the name of the person who takes, like the first name of the person who takes my blood every week or every other week. You know, she's like, are you going to need radiation? I was like, I don't think so. She was like, you're definitely not. We're putting that shit out into the universe right fucking now. And that's the way she said it too. And I was like, that's a bit unprofessional, but that's what I like about you. Yeah, it's really kind of, it's heartwarming too. That's a good thing. It's heartwarming. It's nice to see just, you know, like these people that have been collected here on this journey and everybody pulling for you is kind of cool. I also feel like I have to lie a little bit sometimes when I talk to people. How you doing? I'm fine. I'm good.
Living the dream over here.
Yeah, no, that's great. You know, but that's just me.
I had to
anyway,
do a little,
I'll shut up. How you doing?
Pretending that I was, I had to do a little pretending I was feeling better than I was this week. So, fucking Wednesday. It's been a ridiculously stressful couple of weeks for me. Like, just between, you know, prepping for Thanksgiving and Black Friday and the immense amount of work that's gone into that. Like, November's a tough month, and I had been extra stressed out trying to get the house clean and, yeah, just everything in life happening at once.
Yeah.
And what happens is I'll tend to, like, if around that time I'm not getting enough sleep, I tend to get sick, but my body will, like, fend it off until I'm done. Like, I won't get sick until it's like, all right, now I can breathe. Okay, it's time to process being sick.
Now it's time to fall over and die in this bed.
Yeah, I was, you know, feeling pretty behind on work with Nintendo Force in particular. That Castlevania was taking way too long, and I started Plucky Squire, and I was trying to work my way through that as quick as I could, and then the magazine didn't get any review codes for Tetris Forever. So I reached, they asked if anybody had any connections. I was like, well, I'll reach out to Steven and see if, you know, he can set me up with any review codes for it. And he forwarded my information, and Digital Eclipse sent me 2 review codes for it. So I sent them, I was like, all right, I want to take one of these for myself, but I'm not going to be that guy. Obviously. I got them for the magazine, so I'm going to give them to Lucas, and you know, he can distribute them as he sees fit, and I'll just say, I would love to keep one, but I don't think I can do the review because I'm really far behind on, like, everything. And then he wasn't answering for a bit, and I said, fuck it, I'll do the review. Just let me keep one of these codes. I'm going to sign up for it. So I signed up for the review for Tetris Forever, and that was, like, kind of the one thing that put me over the edge of, like, all right, this is going to be too much, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make this happen because I really want to play through this. Yeah,
it looks great.
Then I kind of got my shit together on Wednesday morning. I got a whole lot of stuff done. I got next week's video done for Stone Age Gamer. I got next week's blog done, and a bunch of other stuff prepped. Like, I kind of felt like I was caught up enough, and that's when I started feeling sick around Wednesday afternoon. Now, Wednesday evening, on a school night, one of Ellie's friends was having a birthday party an hour away.
Wild.
Right? Like, she's having a birthday party in frickin' Millville. Now, this is one of her friends from school, so this is somebody else who lives in Absecon. Like, yeah, we're going out to Fun City in Millville for this birthday party on a Wednesday night. So I'm feeling like shit, and I'm driving out to Millville and on a Wednesday night when Ellie's got school in the morning, and it's fucking hell. And
That's fucking wild, man.
Yeah, we didn't get home till like 8:45. It's like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this on a Wednesday night? Like, what are you doing?
Because you can afford it on a Wednesday. That's
right?
why.
Yeah, she was trying to save some money, and
which I get.
Kind of like I get it.
I'm with you.
I've never been a big fan of this woman, and I have finally pieced together why while I was there and spending time talking to her and her husband. They are the kind of people that don't listen when you talk to them.
Oh, yeah. Hate that.
They have very important things to tell you. Everything they say is the most important thing in the world, but they're just aggressively waiting for their turn to talk. They're not listening to anything you say. And that's real annoying. That was not a fun evening. That was not the most fun evening, but Ellie had a blast. She had such a good time. So I got to drive an outstanding way to put it out there too. Yeah,
aggressively waiting for your turn to talk.
That's exactly what it was.
Yep, I hundo P understand. But you took the neighbor girls and Ellie.
Yeah,
so you had
she had said that she was going to take all these girls. Yeah,
three under 10-year-olds.
Under 10-year-olds in the back of my van driving out to Millville. She had said that she was going to give all these girls a ride, and then she overbooked herself. And then she asked me if I could take the neighbors. I was like, of course I can take the neighbors. And I don't. Yeah. They're literally next door. It couldn't be less out of my way.
It would be really fucked up if I was like, no, I could. I just don't want
to. You come over here and get your damn self.
And while you're here, could you get Ellie? You bitch.
Yeah.
No,
why not?
That's fucking. What if she listens? I didn't mean that, lady. I don't know. Aggressively waiting for your turn to talk. Listen.
That was an evening.
Talk less. Listen more. Don't smile more. I don't give a fuck if you smile.
Yeah, just listen when people talk. It's how you have a conversation. But anyway, that was fun. I did get I got my Ode to Castlevania review written, even though I didn't 100% complete it. I feel pretty confident that I played enough of it to get the gist. I think I still have like 15 characters left, but that means I've unlocked 60 or something.
78.
There's just an insane amount of characters to unlock in Castlevania. I've seen just about all. I felt confident in that. The thing that I was really rubbing up against was Plucky Squire.
Hopefully.
No. I'm sick as fuck. Sorry. I'm not rubbing up against my wife right now. I also felt real bad because I didn't go to the gym because I'm sick. And
yeah.
You shouldn't go to the gym when you're sick. And like part of me was just like, no, I should go to the gym. I signed up for it. I should, push through it and go take care of business. Then I'm like, no, I'm going to go there and I'm going to sweat all over everything and make everybody else sick. Go stay home, jackass. And so I did. But anyways,
how mature of you.
Oh, thank you. So Plucky Squire, it didn't get any more fun. And really the biggest problem was this particular version of the game. Like I looked up how many chapters were in the game, and I got a little bit past the halfway point. And as it added more skills and abilities, the way the system was running, it was getting worse. Like it was the frame rate was getting worse. There's this one particular ability you get where you can you often have to go back a few pages to get things, which is a really cool idea. It's like neat to go back, turn back the page a few times to get an item or a word that you missed, and then bring it to a current page. The problem is that this Switch has all this loading time whenever you do that. It is not a smooth transition, and I've looked up online videos of this running on other systems like PlayStation 5, and it's a very smooth transition. It's not a problem at all. But on the Switch, it is most definitely a problem. It is not nice. There's even this other power that you get that's really cool, where you tilt the book, like you like tilt one of the pages to roll things around. Like there's a thing on one side, and then you can like tilt it so that thing will, gravity will address what's in the book and move it around for you. It's very
That's
clever.
Cool.
It's super cool. But even doing that, when you jump out of the book, you stand in front of it and you press the buttons to actually pick up the book and have the option to turn pages or tilt it. The process between you pressing the button and then that happening is like 4 or 5 seconds, and there's no indicating sounds or anything. You can't tell if is the game frozen? Did I press the buttons? Do I press the button again? And you press the button again, and it opens it up, and then closes it, and then you have to go through the waiting process to jump in again. It's not great, and it was really, really bothering me. And that's just one of the technical problems, because the other thing is you don't always have to go to other pages to get other words. Sometimes you just have to walk to the other side of the pages that you're currently on. And even that started feeling like a real chore to me, because so I mentioned before that there's these puzzles that are like, you pick up a word and you replace the word and it changes the thing into something else.
Which sounds super cool and interesting.
It is super cool and interesting, but this is not Scribblenauts. It's extremely limited. Like, there are words that you'll pick up and put there, and they don't do anything. They just pop right out of the spot. Like, they'll just bounce out because you can't use that word. There's not all that many words to choose from here. It's not like you can type in your own words. So the fact that they didn't make something for every word combination that you can have is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of bothersome. As I got further in the game, and then what I did in order to make sure that I was able to, just to see what was happening next, I, watched a playthrough of the rest of the game. To see what I was missing. And just, because I know how it plays, I know how it feels, I know how it runs. I just need to see what happens. And as I'm watching the rest of the game, it appeared to me that they kind of ran out of steam.
They were out of shit.
One of the last bits of the game is a really bland-looking stealth segment. Aww. And I'm looking at this like, what? I'm sorry, what?
After all of this creativity and cleverness, we're just going to sneak around for a bit?
The last boss battle looked super cool, but this big stealth segment, just man, this looks like this looked like a similarly to the dialogue in the game, which is, I'm of two minds about this. On one hand, this game is really, really wordy, and the dialogue will sometimes just kind of grind everything to a halt because you're just these characters just talk and talk and talk. It's supposed to take place in a book, so of course it's wordy.
Sure. Do they speak like people, or is it gibberish?
Oh no, it's just text.
Okay.
Anytime there
no
is
voice
anytime
acting
there's
at all. Okay.
There is voice acting, but only from the narrator.
Okay.
So when your characters are talking, it's just speech bubbles. I don't think there's an accompanying noise. I can't think of one. But there is a British guy doing the narrator voice when you get to key segments of the game, which is very, very charming. It's very well done. Everything about this just works so well on paper, but that sometimes the dialogue will really just, okay, stop talking. Can I just move on to the next thing? It's just talk. And the other problem with the talking is that a lot of the times the game will just tell you what to do as far as how to solve the puzzles. There are some things where it's optional for it to tell you what to do to solve the puzzles. But a lot of times you'll just, here's a thing that comes up, and then this wizard dude is just going to basically tell you what to do. The game won't really just let me be free to experiment and figure things out on my own. And I guess to an extent that might make this a bit more kid-friendly. But on the other hand, it's kind of well, what am I here for if you're just going to tell me how to do everything?
There should then be an option, maybe?
Well, the optional ones are great. They're these little so there's this big wizard dude, and then there's this little mini version of him that hangs around all over the place. And you can talk to him and get a hint. That's all there should be, because he's always there, and you can just ignore him, or you can go talk to him if you want. That's all there should be. But most of the time, you'll go to a new area, and they'll just be like, "Hey, I'm talking to you. Here's what you got to do." go over there, try this thing out, or walk behind this tree, see if there's something back there. Like, really? Like, okay, but I probably could have figured that out in a few minutes. Let me experiment a little bit. And it's not like it's...
Let me play your game.
Yeah, let me play the game. This is probably a really... That's not enough to really break things, right? Because the game itself is clever and charming enough that this doesn't really turn into a problem. It's decent overall. If I was playing the PS5 version, I'd probably would have given it like a 7.5 maybe. I wound up giving it a 6.5 specifically for the Switch version because it's just a mess. Like, not only is it over 10 gigs to install the damn thing, Mario Odyssey was 6 gigs. Like,
that's
it's
wild.
A lot of space for a Switch. Because not everybody has a gigantic memory card in their Switch. Like, if you're just rocking this normally, a 10 gig game is a lot for most people. They're going to need to clean the fridge in order to get this thing onto their system. And then it just runs so choppy. But then you get to the other side of it where you run into these situations. Like, I needed to get a bow, like for a bow and arrow to shoot bugs. So I wound up having to go into a Magic the Gathering card and have an RPG battle with an elf so that I could borrow her bow so that I could fight the bugs. And that was really interesting and cool. But then I got the bow, and it was one of those, like, it does these boss battles where they're these unique things, where, like, the first boss battle is a punch-out fight against a honey badger, right? This one is like, you have to draw back the bow and move this camera around the screen. The bugs don't move very fast, but your cursor moves even slower. So if the bug takes like a turn, if it takes a random turn that you didn't see coming, and he'll just slowly start flying towards you, and he's going to do damage, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it because your cursor is even slower than the bugs. You're just like, come on, move. Oh, fine. I took another hit. It was such an annoying battle. And that was kind of how I felt about so many different things. Almost every one of the boss battles that I'd encountered, it's like, well, this is the epitome of Jack of all trades, master of none. You've done these interesting things, but you didn't focus on whether or not they were actually fun to do. Like, it's like Grand Theft Auto. Like, there's a lot of people that play Grand Theft Auto, and the fact that you are doing these things is entertaining enough. It doesn't matter if it's actually a fun thing to do. What's fun is that you are doing those things. That's what this game's all about. Like, you're doing clever things, that's neat. The act of doing them isn't necessarily fun, but for some people, just the fact that the thing is clever is entertaining enough. That's not how I experience games. Like, I need the things to actually feel good to do. And the fact that the combat doesn't feel good at all, he does this thing where you swing the sword and he dashes toward the enemy, and you wind up taking just like constant damage whenever you touch an enemy. So when he dashes in, you're there and you want to go in and do your little sword combo, right? Because you have sword combos. So you keep pressing the button, you do a combo. Except if you just keep pressing the button, you're going to take damage because he dashes directly into the enemy. So you got to swing your sword, dodge back, swing your sword, dodge back in order to not take damage, which is ridiculous. And I think part of that is the way the Switch is running it, because I think that when there's more frames available, you won't get trapped as often, because I'm watching the PS5 version and that the damage doesn't seem to be happening to the person who's playing on the PS5 footage that I was watching. So I really just think it's the Switch version that is fucked. And it's such a shame because this game is so for that audience. It is so absolutely for that audience. I would be shocked beyond belief if the Switch version wasn't the best-selling version of this game. But it's also heartbreaking that this is the worst where that version. Audience is. It's the worst version by a wide margin, as far as I can tell. So
I wonder how it plays on Steam Deck.
It's probably fine. Steam Deck's way more powerful than a Switch, and it seems like it's designed for that kind of architecture, I would imagine that it'll play just fine. So I felt confident enough that, given my time constraints, I could write my review based on the time that I'd played it. I don't think me playing anything past that point was going to change my opinion of the game, right? Because I've experienced all the technical difficulties. Sure. They're not going to get magically better towards the end of the game, and unless the end of the game
it'd be really
was
fucking weird if they did.
It would be really weird if they did. So I felt confident in my review, having not finished it. It's not what I like to do, but I was just really under the gun as far as deadlines go, because my deadline's Tuesday, and there's just no way I'm going to finish that game and Tetris, in addition to all of my other work and living. So since today I had caught up. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just looked it up just to be sure. It says everything compatible with Steam Deck functionality. Steam Deck controller icons and game text is legible, and the default graphics configuration performs well. So
that's what you want.
It's $30 still though, and I don't know that I would love it for $30.
Yeah, I don't know that you.
I don't know
either.
that I wouldn't.
I hear you. One of the things that I said in the review was it's a flawed game, but it's definitely worth playing. It's super clever. It's super interesting. And even though it doesn't get things right, you can tell that they really tried. And that comes through in the game in the best possible way. Like, it is well worth playing, just somewhere else. Just don't do it on Switch.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
So since I was able to knock that out, and I was able to catch up with my other work, and I was feeling like garbage, I basically gave myself today to play through all of Tetris Forever, which is what I did.
Nice.
I sat on my couch, and I did all of Tetris Forever today, which is a very interesting game. I haven't written the review yet, because I was just playing it all today, and I just finished it like a couple hours ago, and I had to eat dinner and then get on the podcast. The overall feeling that I get from this game, especially knowing what Digital Eclipse is capable of, is that this project here is them working with one hand tied behind their back. Because the documentary stuff is great, but the games, like the game selection itself and the things that they were able to cover is less great, and I'm sure it all came down to rights. Because there are astronomically important pieces of Tetris history that are at best mentioned, but not playable.
Okay.
This is a multi-platform release, and some of the most important pieces of Tetris history are Nintendo. So the NES version of Tetris is not in there. The Game Boy version of Tetris is not in there. The single most important version of Tetris, the Game Boy one, is not part of the game. It's mentioned. There's a chapter about it. There's video footage of the Game Boy. It's mentioned by name, but the actual version of Tetris stuff, you can't play it. And there's a bunch of other ones that are, what is it? They talk about how he made Weltris. Alexei Pajitnov made Weltris. As far as I know, he owns that outright. That's not in the game. You can't play it. They mention it. They show video footage of it. They mention Blockout, the game that he saw that was like it first and was like, I'm going to do this better. And so he did.
Right.
The Tengen NES Tetris, not available on there. Tengen, which is Atari, which owns Digital Eclipse.
Right. That's weird.
The Tengen, even if that one's like, well, I get it. That game was pulled, right? That game is technically not allowed to be sold. So I guess maybe I could see that, although I think the statute of limitations might be up on that.
I was going to say, and like it was, and it's not in danger of taking away sales from the NES Tetris currently.
Exactly. And then also the arcade version, the Tengen's arcade version and Sega's arcade version. Neither of those are available on there. I
forgot about the arcade versions.
That's a whole part of the story, which is fascinating. That's like a whole part of the story is like this one dude was like, yeah, I have the rights for all of Tetris. And then he didn't. He just thought he did. And so Tengen was like, all right, cool. We're going to make this for NES because we're allowed to. And then Nintendo was like, you're actually not allowed to because we went to Russia and they were like, we didn't license this shit to anybody. So we're going to make our own because we got the rights. So you can't sell this. The story of Tetris is nuts. And it's such a fascinating thing to play through. One that really bugged me was, I guess to an extent I can understand why it's not playable on there. But the CDI version of Tetris is not playable on there. Probably because there's not a great emulator in existence for CDI.
Yeah.
However, there's not even a picture of it. It's mentioned because it's the first CD-based version of Tetris ever. Like, it's actually historically important piece of Tetris history. So it's mentioned, but there's just a picture of a CD. Like, there's not even the box art. There's nothing. It's just this little icon of a CD. It's not even like a photograph of one. It's like a little CD icon, and they say it was released for CDI, and they credit the composer for the music, which was really good in it. But it's just not there.
It was released for CDI, good for them. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Tetris Flash, aka Tetris 2, as it was released in North America, is not on there. And again, that's probably a Nintendo thing, because Nintendo did publish Tetris 2 in North America as Tetris 2. The official sequel to Tetris is just not in here. Because, the Japanese Tetris 2 is, but that's a totally different game. That's Bombliss, basically, which was released in North America as Tetris Blast. But, Tetris Blast is mentioned, but it's just the front of the box. They don't have the back of the box or any more information. Or, sometimes you look at Atari 50, and every single game has that 3D imaging thing, right? Here's a 3D scan of the box. They mentioned, Tetris Plus on PlayStation, but it's just a photograph of the front of the instruction manual. It's not, you can't see the whole box. You can't see the disc art. The Tetris keychain is mentioned.
There had to be some wild licensing. You're right.
There had
because what else could it be? The Digital Eclipse has shown through their collections that they are nothing if not thorough.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that they wanted to be more thorough with this than they were. This is just kind of how it landed. The other problem that I had was the actual emulation on Super Nintendo had some weird stuttering issues every time it would, the Super Nintendo games would load. Sorry, Super Famicom games would load. It's nothing game breaking, but every single time the screen would go dark and switch to another screen, you'd hear this audio glitching out a little bit. It was very, very strange. Then there's an original game in there called Tetris Time Warp, which is really, really cool, but also weirdly limited. It goes up to 4 players, but there's no handicap settings. So I really couldn't play this against Karen earlier. I was playing for a little bit, but we don't work at the same skill level.
You're just demolishing her?
Yeah, and when we play Tetris, usually
not like in a
Mario,
dickhead way,
there are certain things I'm better at, and when we play these
she's
games
better
regularly,
at cross-stitching than you.
Exactly.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It would be, you would be demolished and embarrassed in a cross-stitch competition.
Without question. But you can't, and this, you could... going back for as long as there's been multiplayer Tetris on consoles for the most part, at least since the N64 and PlayStation era, you could handicap each other. And you can't do that in this. There is no difficulty setting for this multiplayer Tetris. And it's also, the catch in this is that for every 10 lines you make, the 11th block will come down. And if you make a line out of that block, you force the other player to play an older version of Tetris, which is a really cool idea.
That's super cool.
The problem is that there's only 3 of them. There's only original Tetris, the one that he did on his old computer that's the green lines and stuff. Bombliss and Game Boy Tetris. That's the closest you can get to playing Game Boy Tetris is in this multiplayer mode, is an approximation of Game Boy Tetris. So the physics are right, but it's not. The music isn't exactly right. The sound effects aren't exactly right. The visuals are tweaked a little bit.
Weird.
Because Nintendo's not going to let Game Boy Tetris be on PlayStation and Xbox. That's just not going to happen. They still own that. So it makes me wonder.
But let it be there. At least let it be there on the Nintendo. Although I guess you don't want to split versions up.
Yeah, they're probably
because now you've got incomplete histories.
Exactly. Are you going to make this a Nintendo exclusive, or are you going to make it an incomplete history on other platforms? What was the right thing to do here? I understand you need to tell this story, and it's unfortunate that it's kind of unfortunate that Nintendo wasn't willing to play ball in this more, just in the interest of
just be 20% cooler.
Of all the things to be in this instance, maybe be a little bit like Xbox and say, in this instance, we can play ball with this because it's important, and this feels incomplete without the Nintendo stuff in it. Now, the Nintendo stuff, like I said, it's in there. There's video footage. There's pictures of the NES. Everything is credited to Nintendo, Game Boy. There's video footage of Yamauchi, like Nintendo's headquarters, Nintendo presentations at CES. Like, there's all this footage. So, like, all the video footage is there, but actually playing the games is where they drew the line. And
that's a bummer.
It is kind of a bummer. It's also, I'd never played the Japanese. I didn't realize that NES Tetris, the Nintendo one, wasn't released in Japan. The Famicom version of Tetris was made by Alexei Pajitnov and Bulletproof Software, and it's a totally different rendition of Tetris, and a considerably worse one, if you ask me. In fact, Pajitnov wasn't involved in that one. That was just Bulletproof Software. And when he finally showed the game to Pajitnov, he hated it because the controls are insane.
Okay.
You have to...
Are they Ranger X insane?
Almost. You rotate...
Okay, because I feel like that's our bar now. Like, are they Ranger X insane?
You move and rotate the blocks with the D-pad, and you push a button to make the blocks drop. Which is just wrong.
But there's two buttons. There's two buttons.
There are.
You can
it's wrong. It's all wrong. It's just not okay. But that's the version
not
that
being
Japan
a person
got.
who owns a Famicom. There are two buttons on that controller, right?
There are two buttons. Yes,
okay.
there are. So
there was a microphone. You could have yelled "turn" or whatever.
They actually,
Japanese is.
When you load it up in Tetris Forever, they say you can change these controls in our settings. you go to the settings and change them to be what you want them to be. But it's so weird. I didn't know that Nintendo's Tetris didn't come out in Japan, which is probably why it's never been released on any sort of virtual console service. The Game Boy one did, because the handheld rights were a different animal from the console rights, which were different from arcade rights, which were different from PC rights. All those rights were different, and that's where the confusion came from, is because there wasn't a clear definition of what computer meant. So Atari and Tengen were under the impression that they could make Tetris for family computers as computer right in the damn name. That the NES is basically the Famicom, so we can make it for whatever computers. The NES is effectively a computer, but it wasn't. Home consoles, handheld, arcade, and computer were all four different things that they didn't, establish the rights for. It's such a wild story. So all the interviews and stuff are very good. They're not as stylized as the ones in. So like when I was looking at the Lamasoft one and the making of Karateka and Atari 50, when you open up these videos, they tend to have these title cards to them, and these really don't. They kind of seem like they were one long video that would just like stop, and then you start the next chapter by moving to the next dot on the timeline. Like it's just not as thoroughly made as the previous ones, if that makes any sense. Like, there's a ton of footage, and it's fascinating footage too. Like, there's what's his name? Oh my god, I've heard his name 850,000 times today. I just played through this whole game. Not Alexei Pajitnov. He's the guy who is like his friend. He's the main character of the damn Tetris movie. Oh my god.
It's a Super Troopers reference for some of you.
Hank Rogers. Jesus Christ, why can't I remember the name Hank Rogers?
That's close enough to John Chimpo.
Yeah, spot on. So, I don't even remember what I was talking about now.
His friend.
Hank Rogers. What was I? I can't remember what I was talking about. Doesn't matter. The other thing that was fun in there, though, there were some really interesting. What's his name? Phil Adam is in there a bunch of times, like interviews with Phil Adam. I didn't realize that the Phil Adam from Spectrum Holobyte, was that Phil Adam?
Sure.
One of the
into my desk.
Yes, Phil Adam, Spectrum Holobyte. So he was in charge of Spectrum Holobyte back in the day, and he had a part in all of this. Right? Am I crazy? Yeah, Phil Adam. He was one of the founders of Spectrum Holobyte. He had a big part of that. He's the same Phil Adam that's currently in charge of what's left of Intellivision Amico. He's the one who shuffled Tommy Tallarico off to the side. Like, he's, disgraced Phil Adams. So all these interviews with him, like, are in this really sad room. Like, wow, Phil Adams doesn't look like he's doing too well right now.
Oh, that sucks.
That sucks. Well, get in bed with the devil. This,
I mean,
the Intellivision Amico sure turned into a scam right quick. And
boy, did it.
That's gross. So anyway, I
rather
liked
disappointing.
It is.
But
it's still
interesting,
really, really good, and really well worth going through. And I feel like the decisions that they made to not put the title cards in kind of makes sense with the way they split up the videos. But at the same token, like, there was this piece of the presentation that just kind of felt like it was missing. Now, that said, Tetris Time Warp is really good. It's the only original game in there. A lot of the Tetris games that are in there are extremely samey, like just slightly updated versions, even on the same within the same
Tetris.
Platforms. Well, there's a lot of different. There's a lot of different flavors of Tetris out there that are considerably different than what's in there. But like, Super Tetris Bomb Bliss and Super Tetris Bomb Bliss 2 are barely different games. Like,
that's the same game.
That's effectively the same thing, but there's stuff like Tetris Plus. There's which is a totally different kind of thing. Like the N64, the new Tetris, but that's a Nintendo published title. Tetris 2 is a Nintendo published title. Like, I get it. It's just it doesn't change the fact that it's an incomplete history, and that's and again, the whole thing just feels like they did this whole project with a hand tied behind their back. And
that's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
And that still, that
absolutely
might be,
recommend it.
Yeah. That might be one of the things that they run into if they do more of this with like multi-platform type games. Cause like, as you're going through thinking about this, I'm thinking like, man, how fucking annoying would it be if they did like a Metal Gear 1 and they couldn't include the Nintendo game? Or,
right.
Or they couldn't include the PSP games because for some reason there was a weird rights issue, whatever the fuck it might be, to have
when it's
certain chunks
like
of that history missing.
Oh, that's what Atari 50 was,
though.
Right? Atari 50 had that exact same problem where they couldn't get any of the Atari game stuff because the rights went away. So we don't have Gauntlet. We don't have Paperboy, right? These are major pieces of Atari history,
huge,
that you just can't get. But there was enough of everything else in there that it was still ultimately well worth it. This one's rubbing right up against that. This one's like, I don't know, man. This is as somebody who's super interested in game history, absolutely. Like you have to play it. It's just one of them. It's one of the best first-hand tellings of the Tetris story that you're ever going to see. Going into like, I get why Tetris Effect isn't in there. That's currently available for sale on the eShop, right? Like, but there's a whole chapter on Tetris Effect because it was an important thing. But there's other ones, even taking away the Nintendo stuff, because you absolutely understand that. When you look at stuff like, well, why wasn't Wordtris in there? We've got 4 different versions of Hatris. Why isn't Wordtris in there? Why isn't Weltris in there? Like, why isn't V-Tetris in there? Like, V-Tetris is this completely unique Japan-only Tetris game that was on Virtual Boy. It's like almost nobody's played it, but it's an outstanding version of Tetris that almost nobody's played. And as far as I know, it's just Ilorg, which is now owned by the Tetris company. So why isn't that in there?
And like, what a perfect opportunity to give people an opportunity to play.
Yeah, and I know it could be just that they didn't have Virtual Boy. Virtual Boy emulation? Yeah, it's Bulletproof Software. It was published by Bulletproof Software. So they own this thing. But get it cooking. Like, this is what you're here for.
Yeah.
This is your thing.
Don't put it out until you have it.
Yeah, that's really what I wonder.
Or
what's the story of this game? Why did they attempt to do Tetris knowing that all of this was going to be a problem and that they wouldn't be able to do what they want to do? Because we talked to Steven.
I mean,
about Atari 50. Like, they want to do everything. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, did they run into hurdles that they didn't expect? Like, obviously they knew going in they weren't going to get the Nintendo stuff to be able to publish on other platforms, but some of these other ones are just confusing to me. The cynic in me says DLC. Well, it's possible they have done DLC for Atari 50. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, did they hold? But did they hold stuff back specifically for DLC? Because that's where it gets shitty, you know. And the cynic in me, and I wish I didn't feel that way about the world, but I just feel that way about the world currently. You know,
I understand that.
Because if you're trying to take 2 bites of that apple, the Nintendo stuff is what you hold back.
Yeah, I don't. Well, that also doing it as DLC does actually make a lot of. If they did intentionally hold that back to sell as DLC, that makes a lot of sense just from a contractual level, right? If you're offering that as a separate product, almost, it's like this is just this stuff. So it's like this is the only thing that there needs to be royalty clearance on is just this, not selling the game in general. So carving that out in particular is one thing. But, if you look at the DLC they've done for Atari 50, that wasn't stuff they held back. That was Atari bought these other companies and they're like, oh shit, we can do this now?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck it, let's get Berserk in there. Oh, Atari owns television? Well, shit, let's make some television content, right? Like, that wasn't stuff they could have planned ahead for. It was just, Atari bought other things and they were like, well, we can actually add to this, so let's do it.
Yeah. No, I'm just being cynical,
Right. If it were
just trying to think
Arts,
of a reason.
100%.
Oh, sure.
Honestly,
you would
for
have paid
me,
for each game chapter by chapter.
Yeah, no, I think that this came down to what they had emulation already ready to do, and the cost analysis of like, is it worth putting in the money to create a Virtual Boy emulator just for this? What else are we going to use a Virtual Boy emulator for in the future? Is this worth the money to do? And that's probably where this came from. Like the same thing with the CDI one. But then I start to question, why don't they, like, I would have lent them my copy. Like, why isn't there a picture? Why isn't there more fully rendered artwork for the things that they couldn't get in there? Like, I am sure there's some sort of rights issue with Tetris Plus was published by what Atari was at the time on PlayStation. Right, like the Sega version of the arcade game, I'm sure there was some sort of, they would have need to license through Sega in order to get that and cooking on there. They would have, I don't know what the holdup was on the Atari, the Tengen version of the arcade machine. I feel like there's got to be some sort of reason the NES flavor wasn't on there. But again, there was video footage of it. There's close-up footage of the cartridge, like in video, but then there was no, like, you can't look at it up close or read its instruction manual or anything. It's weirdly incomplete. And it strikes me as so odd, having followed up the previous 2 Goldmaster series releases that were so extraordinarily complete.
Right.
It's a very interesting release.
That's a bummer. I still want to play it. I think you're right.
Absolutely
there, it's still important to play and go through. It's the first one that's like really piqued my interest. Like, I'm interested in Atari 50, but like, I don't need to play it. And Karateka, that's cool. The Llamasoft, I couldn't give a fuck less about. I'm happy it exists. I just don't care.
It's there for the documentary. Like, really, like, as far as playing, like the Llamasoft one, I didn't enjoy those games really much at all. But it was a fascinating story. So, like, watching, that's what you get. The Atari 50 is, you're not going to play those games for more than a couple of seconds, but you don't have to. That's all about the story. That is all about playing through that, the history of Atari. That's what that's about. And that's really what Tetris Forever is good at, too. These interviews with Alexei Pajitnov and Hank Rogers and the handful of other people they have in there. And the video footage is astounding. That's what I was going to say before. Hank Rogers recorded everything. He recorded his plane rides out to and from Moscow. He had like this video recorder, and he just recorded himself doing everything. It's nuts. So there's all this amazing
suppose
footage.
It was that time, though.
It was that time. It was a new thing, and also
the way you see kids with phones now is the way motherfucking dads used to be, in shorts that were way too short, with socks pulled up to their fucking knees, and a giant camcorder on the shoulder, and mom behind there going, nobody's gonna fucking watch this, Bob. Nobody cares. Why are you recording it? And now it's all on YouTube.
Is that he's
so what did Marge know?
His when he went out to Moscow the first time, like to negotiate the rights, he went on there on a tourist visa, right? So he didn't have a business visa, so he wasn't allowed to go into the buildings that he went into. Like, he went there as a tourist, so he brought the camera to be a tourist. He was only allowed in the USSR at that time. He was only allowed to be going around taking pictures of tourist attractions and stuff. But that's not what he was actually there for. Like, he could have gotten into a lot of trouble had he not.
Yeah.
Like, he went in there with the
from what I understand,
version of Tetris.
Russia isn't cool.
No, not so much. Again, excuse me. Again, you got to watch this thing. It's a really, really fascinating story. If you haven't watched the Tetris movie, definitely do that too. The Tetris movie's great. It's a silly dramatization of this, but it's not like that far of a dramatization. It's like there's like a car chase towards the end of it. It's like, yeah, no, of course that didn't happen. But like, you're watching the rest of this movie, and it's like, I'm watching it with Karen back when it first came out, and she's like, this is crazy. And I'm like, this is surprisingly close to what actually happened. Like, it's not completely accurate. It is still definitely dramatized, but not as much as you'd think. Like, this is a crazy ass story. So yeah, highly recommended. Tetris Forever is great. Plucky Squire is great on everything except Switch, and I miss Vampire Survivors. Looking forward to getting back to that. I do.
Oh. Well, I've spent some time with two things that I picked up on the Steam sale, and I will just cover them briefly because I haven't spent a ton of time with them. But I picked up Shotgun King, first of all, which I believe Matt has mentioned before. Waveback Matt has mentioned. I think he brought it up. Anyway, so Shotgun King is chess, right? Which is a wonderful game. But with the addition of shotguns and grenades. So you play as the Black King, right? And like the first board, it's really kind of interesting. And I don't know that I'm mentally fit enough to really get everything I need out of this game. So you, like, the first board starts off, you're the Shotgun King, and you aim your shotgun with the right analog stick, and you have like, obviously it's a shotgun, so it shoots straight in front of you, but also in a wide berth as well. It takes up like 2.5 squares, and you can kind of angle that 360 degrees, right, to hit other pieces. And the opposing team, the white team, will have like 3 pawns, a knight, and a bishop on the board, right? So the object is to play chess with your king and the moves that the king can make, while also getting in a position to not get taken by one of the opposing player's pieces, while also being close enough to be able to shoot them with your shotgun and blow them up off the board. And it's fucking awesome. Like, if you like chess, it is an absurd version of chess because you still have to play chess. You know, like, you can't just move the king wherever and be like, all right, I'm going to get in front of this piece, even though it could take me because I'm going to shoot it first. Like, you can't do that. That puts you in checkmate. It is a violation of the rules of chess. So you have to maneuver around the board in such a manner. And you only have limited shots. You reload as you move, which is kind of an interesting mechanic. And there's upgrades as you go through, right? So, like, you beat the first board, and then it gives you random options of things you can pick, like buffs to your side or nerfs to the opponent's side. Of like, there will be a stage that will pop up that will have like a moat in the middle of it. And one of the nerfs to the opponent's side is pawns can't cross the moat in one move. They would have to take 2. Right, so you do that. Or you get a grenade that you can just lobbeth at the board and blow a couple things up. And there's different guns you can upgrade and ammo that you can upgrade. And it's just a fucking wild version of chess. And it's got this really detailed intro of like the king's advisor, like the Shotgun King is like sitting there and he's like, fuck it. let's go kill these motherfuckers, is basically what he says, like after a few screens of dialogue that's done in like Shakespearean Old English. And then the game gives you control and you hop across a board to like a chest and you open it. It's just a big fucking shotgun. Like, all right, this is the kind of stupid I'm into, but it's like midnight and my brain doesn't work very well. So I'll get back into it. I've played a couple rounds and the object, right, there's a couple different modes, but playing through the endless mode, see how far you can get, that kind of thing. Really fucking cool though. I think I got it. I got that for $2.49, I believe, on the Steam sale. And then I finally picked up and started playing Hades.
What was that game called again? Sorry, the
Shotgun King.
Shotgun
King. Yeah. It's got cool graphics, like pixelated. The music's okay. It's fun though. But I finally picked up Hades because that was on sale for $10. And it looks incredible on the Steam Deck, plays incredible on the Steam Deck. That game is really good, Chris.
So I've heard.
It's fucking great. Like, I think I've put 3 hours into it this week, which is a lot for me. Like with everything else that's happening in my life. I think Indeed. I put, let me be fair. I put like 20 minutes into it during the week and like 2 hours and 40 minutes into it at my infusion today. Man, it's fucking great. It controls perfectly, like between the attacking and the dashing and it's weird, right? Because we kind of had this conversation on the Discord a week or two ago of like good games are good games. I'm not a big fan of roguelites, never really have been. There's a couple that I like. Rogue Legacy is good. Sundred, I think, is really good. But for the most part, I'm not a huge fan of them. I don't love isometric perspective. Just really never have. Again, I love Zaxxon, Congo Caper. Like, there's a couple that I dig. But I don't really love roguelikes. I don't love isometric perspective. And I don't love necessarily the thing that comes with roguelikes of the relentless grind to power up your character. And then I sat there and played Hades today for 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is all three of those things. Because good games are just fucking good games. And this is just a really good fucking game. The whole play loop of trying to battle your way out of hell, picking the different paths that you can go down to either get darkness to power up your character with the permanent upgrades, Zagreus, the son of Hades, so you can permanently power him up with darkness, or you can sometimes it will pop up and like, oh, there's a key over this way. So if I go and get these keys, I can unlock the different weapons. And I've unlocked so far the 4 basic starting weapons. A 5th just popped up after I bought the spear, because you start with a sword, then you can unlock a bow and arrow, a shield, and a spear. And I've had the most success with the spear, but I think the bow is the most fun so far. Because there's 2 different types of attacks. And with the bow, you can like do a bow and arrow shot. Like, you pull it back and charge it up and you can let it go. And if you let it charge longer, it does more damage, flies across the screen, whole thing. The secondary attack with the bow is like a rapid fire. He shoots out like 6 arrows in an arc. And that's just really fun to, like, you dash around a pillar, because so all the enemies show up and they all have a tell for when they're going to attack, right? So you've got to avoid the attack, get into a position where you can attack the enemy. So an enemy will glow, you'll dash around a pillar. As you're dashing, you will unleash this barrage of like 6 arrows that will hit 3 or 4 of the enemies that are on the screen. And then you dash over to another place and you pull up a powered shot, because you also got a buff that from Zeus that gives you like chain lightning for every hit. So then that starts shooting all over the fucking screen. It's just wild, man. It's super fast paced. Like, there's really not a lot of, like, oh, I'm just going to chill in this room for a second, and just kind of hang out here. The enemies look really great. It really is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. and I got up to, I got out of the first level of hell so far. I've made it to Asphodel. That's as far as I've gotten. And you get there after you beat one of the Furies. So you start with Megara, and I beat her today, and then made it, I think, about halfway through Asphodel before I got killed and then had to leave. But it is fucking awesome, and it really is a perfect Steam Deck or like Switch game, I would say. Like, not that you shouldn't play it on other systems if you haven't played it and you're interested. But it really is good for, like, I have 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to pick this up and do a run, you know, see how far I get. Kind of in that Vampire Survivors, you're committing to a half hour, right? With Hades, depending on how much progress you've made, you're committing to like 15 minutes to a half hour. Like, I'm just going to pick this up. I got a second. Let me run through it real quick and then have a fucking blast. It's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I bought that game a while back and have not turned it on.
I think you would really, really like it, because I know you also do not like roguelikes. You do not love grinding the same loop over and over again. And I don't know how you feel about isometric.
I love isometric.
I don't think you love... Do you? Okay. I was going to say, I didn't think you loved it. But this game, good games are just good games. And this is just, like, you can see why it got all of the hype that it got. Like, I turned it on and was not disappointed.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that I would enjoy this game if I played it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Well, maybe if I have H for fucking next Super Series pick, which is like a year and a half away, I think, still, but...
I feel like Hades might be a little bit ambitious for Super Series, but...
No, I know, but you get the gist.
I love gists.
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's really great. And I continue to have made it this far owning a Steam Deck and not having purchased Balatro on it, mostly because I just don't want to play Balatro. Because I know as soon as I put Balatro on the Steam Deck, that's it. Like, that is just what I will do with my Steam Deck.
Yeah, I'm intentionally avoiding Balatro too, because I'm certain that I will think very highly of it.
So fucking
and
good.
I don't
it's
need
so
another.
Fucking good.
I don't need an addiction in my life. I'm good.
Are we covering Polygon's top 50 games in week old news?
I didn't even see that.
Okay, so I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm just going to pull it up right now. We'll talk about it during week old news.
Okay, start talking about it right now if you want. I don't give a shit.
No, fuck it. I never contribute to week old news.
Okay, all right, cool.
I want to say Polygon reports, but like do it in the right section. Don't take this from me, Kris. I need this. No, I'm just kidding. That's it. That's what I got. I mean, the new season of Marvel Snap started. It's fine. I'm really losing steam with Snap. Puzzle and Dragons has been incredibly generous with free magic stones over the last month or two. So there's a lot of like upcoming stuff to roll that I'm saving for. But I've been getting back into Pad more regularly, like actually going through and like playing.
Oh, hello. Bugs.
Oh, did I lose you?
There he is.
Sorry.
Oh,
you lost me? Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Couldn't hear you at all. Now you're all choppy and stuff.
Oh, that's weird. Is it still choppy?
Crystal clear.
Okay. Oh, I was talking about maintenance games like Pad and Snap. Pad's been really generous with like magic stones, and I've been more intentionally going through and playing Pad dungeons because those sorts of like puzzle solving things are really good for chemo brain. Mm-hmm. Of like keeping those pathways open. So like I've been doing word searches and like crossword puzzles and like playing Pad to keep that sort of like neural pathway connected. So yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm just trying to write commercials.
Oh, I just pulled the commercials up. They look great.
Completely forgot. So, well, I guess with that said, we're going to take ourselves a quick break, right? You're all good? You're all done with the top of the show?
I'm done.
We'll take a break.
Talking.
We'll do some commercials as soon as I'm done writing them, and then we'll come back and we'll do week-old news. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. And now here's a quick look at what's new from us and our partners at Geekade.com.
First up, toads. First of all, they love sprockets, especially when they're wet. And they're also really good musicians, apparently. Or at least the people who like to call themselves Toad the Wet Sprockets are. Matt and Kris were recently joined by Paul from a theater near you for a listener request episode all about, you guessed it, Toad the Wet Sprocket. How did the guys like the tunes that Paul brought to the table? Find out in Turning Tracks, episode 25, Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Next,
I
yet
fucking love
list.
Toad the Wet Sprocket.
I
just
didn't know much about them. I had known like a couple of the hits, but that's it. I never really got into them before, which is apparently quite the tragedy because they're quite good and I love them now.
They're great. I saw them play at the Apple Farms Festival in like Elmer, New Jersey. Like it just set up a stage in the middle of an apple farm. Toad the Wet Sprocket was there. It was fucking awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyway.
Next, on yet another listener request episode, Matt and I spent some time with Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story just in time for Mario and Luigi Brothership. Listener Matt Flamger brought this one to our attention as expected, it was a dang good time. But just how dang good was it? Learn all about it in Waveback episode 180, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story.
Finally, Kris. On an all-new weekend rental, Ryan is all about Law & Order. Obviously, we all know this. Especially when it comes to the dead. That was the part that caught me by surprise. I knew about the Law & Order part, but when it comes to the dead, that was the part that shocked me. Because, if you're dead and you've turned into a ghost, the very last thing on your mind should be committing any crimes. So Ryan is going to solve your mystery and is going to send you directly to ghost jail. Which is a really fucked up place to go. Speaking of jail, Andy is stuck in Fortnite jail. I have literally no idea what that means. All I know about Fortnite is that my kid sent me a TikTok of Optimus Prime dancing wearing a pair of Jordans. That's what I know about TikTok. Or about fucking Fortnite. And TikTok, for the most part. We do know that saying no to drugs is good, though. How does that all tie together? I don't know, but be sure to listen to Weekend Rental, episode 191, The Gamers Welcome Hibernation.
For all this and more, be sure to check out No, that's not the right ending. That's not the right ending at all. What am I talking about? I didn't even finish this. I came up with the commercials right now, and I still didn't finish. Let's see. For all this and more, from us and our partners, be sure to keep your eyes on Geekade.com. All right, everybody, we are back. Let's talk about what's new at Stone Age Gamer this week, and that would be the holiday sale. I believe by the time you're listening to this, our holiday sale will be up and running. And it's not quite our Black Friday sale, but stuff is still on sale, and sales are good. So there you have it. Holiday sale. Get some stuff. It's mostly the same items that were on sale before. But
just less of a sale because you were fucking lazy and didn't buy things.
How dare you? And we sold out of a lot of stuff.
No, that's awesome. That's great.
But anyway, that brings us to my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everyone's favorite segment. Strap yourselves in for Week Old News. Welcome to Week Old News, where we talk about all the news that was new a week ago. And Dan, kick us off. Talk to me about this list of games.
Polygon reports. Sorry, I got really excited. So Polygon reports their list of the 50 best games of 2024. Okay, I like Polygon as far as the website is concerned. I tend to just like their reporting and their writing and whatnot. But just some interesting things that I found on this list. I'm not going to read all 50, but I will go through and point out some ones that I found interesting here. So starting off with number 50, that would be Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Hit at 50. Super Mario Party Jamboree at 48.
Oh, that's a bit new to be on this list, but okay.
Yeah. Thought maybe a bit low for that. Unicorn Overlord with that just absurd title at 41, but people seem to dig that one.
I heard it's a good game.
It got some good stuff. Star Wars Outlaws, the big Ubisoft joint that came out this year. That was their number 37.
These are these
Stardew
best games of this year, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot. Okay. For some reason, I thought you were talking like best games of all time list. I'm like, what?
Oh, no. No, this is this year.
This year?
2024.
Okay. All right. Then I'm not. Then
yeah,
I'm
you'll
not.
see where you'll see where it ties back in a minute. Game that Dean has been talking about a ton, that Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, $10. That came out on at 34. Which looks cool. I think I'll probably get that once I 100% Vampire Survivors in 10 years. Tekken 8, this made me happy at number 29. That game looks really cool. This game that I am really, really interested in, it's only PCs right now. It's called Mini Shoot Adventures. Have you heard of this, Kris?
I have not.
Okay, let me just read you the first paragraph. Okay, again, this is 27 on Polygon's list. Mini Shoot Adventures marries the Metroidvania genre with a bullet hell game. You play as a Galaga-esque spaceship and adventure through the land, shooting enemies down and collecting other ships to help you. You also collect upgrades to your blaster and new traversal powers, which you'll need to best the game's fabulous dungeons. It's an odd matchup on its face that instantly makes sense the moment you put your hands on it. You'll walk away wondering how it took so long for someone to come up with such a great idea. Yeah, that sounds like a game made for you and me.
Okay.
Number 27 for them. Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, number 25 on this list.
Fair enough.
Silent Hill 2, number 23. A game that we talked about, we were kind of interested in it at the beginning of the year. Arranger, a role puzzling adventure.
Right, yeah.
Remember that one where you're hopping around and moving shit?
Yeah.
That came in at 22.
I didn't realize that came out.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Like a Dragon, everybody seemed to really love that too. That came out at 19 on this list. That big Capcom had a big presentation and they made a whole big deal about this Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, PS4, PS5 series, the whole thing. I have seen really fucking nothing about it. But it's number 18 on their list.
Yeah, again,
So I might have to check that out. Yeah. Pacific Drive came in at 16. Fields of Mystria at 15. I'm just going to go with the top 15. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes at number 14. Very interested in that one. Hades 2 Early Access still got number 13. This one kind of surprised me, but Rumblemans talked it up a whole bunch. Prince of Persia The Lost Crown at number 12.
Yeah. I bought it on their recommendations. I wasn't crazy about the demo, but I've heard so many good things about it. Worth a shot.
Yeah, I feel like when it gets cheaper, I'll swing into that one.
Yeah, like I said, I got it for $20. It was,
yeah, $20. That sounds about right.
That was the price.
Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC, which is basically a whole nother game. That came in at number 11. Number 10, Puzzle Adventure, The Rise of the Golden Idol. Like, it's a really interesting looking puzzle game on Steam. Number 9, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Number 8, Dragon's Dogma 2. Number 7, UFO 50. Number 6, Animal Well. That game is fucking great. Number 5, a game I had never heard of, Tactical Breach Wizards. What happens when you tell J.R.R. Tolkien to write Rainbow Six? You lose me is what happens, I'll tell you that much. No offense to anybody who loves either of those things. I'm not that guy. Number 4 was Helldivers 2. Number 3 was Metaphor ReFantasio, or Tazio, which didn't that just come out?
Yes.
Like 2 weeks ago? Yeah. Number 3. Number 2, Astrobot. And this is where it ties back in. Polygon's number 1 game of the year, Balatro.
All right.
Yeah. Like, I thought that was pretty neat for Balatro. And it's reminding me of, like, a couple years ago when we talked about Vampire Survivors. Like, what the fuck is this game that keeps getting, like, everybody's game of the year? the fuck is Vampire Survivors? I'm like, all right, let me check it out. And now 150 hours of my life are gone.
Yeah. Elatra is going to hit me like a pimp, and I'm not ready for it. So
it really is. It's so fucking good. It's so good. I'm not buying it on the Steam Deck. I'm not doing it. I will force myself to continue to play it on the PlayStation. Because if I buy it on the Steam Deck, I can play it on the Steam Deck and on my PC. I can already play it on my PlayStation and my phone. It's fucking Vampire Survivors all over again. I don't have time for it. Anyway, so that's Polygon's list. There you go. I've contributed. Punching out.
Way to go. I love it. Good job. Go Nintendo reports. Canceled Lego James Bond game discovered via leaked trailer.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'd be into that.
I'd be into that too.
I
wonder why this didn't. I wonder why it didn't pan out.
A little too violent, maybe. And James Bond's pretty violent. It can also be really silly. But
yeah, like
at
that's
its
the thing,
core,
it's
a shooting game.
Yeah, I mean,
you're still shooting a lot.
Star Wars is all shooting, and like there was Lego
but those
Indiana
are blasters.
Jones.
It's different.
Lego Indiana Jones. There's
but you're
guns in
killing
that.
Nazis. Also, Lego Indiana Jones, best Indiana Jones game.
I don't know. I heard that new one's really good.
I don't know. I'm gonna get it. Mostly because
I don't
Tef
have any
wants
systems
it.
to play it on, but it's getting mixed reviews. But some of the reviews are like insanely good, and other the reviews are just like, well, this is a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, I don't know.
Tiff really, really wants to play. I mean, we've talked about her love of Uncharted on here, which Uncharted is actually the best Indiana Jones games, like, obviously. But the best one that actually has Indy in it, in my opinion, as of right now, with not having played this one, is the Lego Indiana Jones. It's fucking charming and goofy, and it's great.
I love all those words.
Yeah.
Especially
Except for
when they're used to describe me.
Charming and goofy and great, or Jones.
Yes. All the above. It's kind of a bummer that this didn't come out, because it looks very silly. And I mean, come on, it was. I think there's actually talk of it being in Lego Dimensions, possibly, or something like that. Like, it just seemed like a fun idea. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, not much.
Moving right along, this is an interesting continuation of a series we talked about, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. Nintendo Life reports In Games acquires Shenmue 3 publishing rights, teases announcement. So, In Games has been all about getting the rights to publish all them Shenmue games. They had 1 and 2 before, and now they've got all 3 of them, and they're talking about the future of possibly finishing off the story. And look, I don't know that I'm ever going to get around to playing Shenmue 3, but I do want the people who are fans of that game to get the ending that they deserve, because 3 was supposed to be that. And 3 was
right.
3 was kind of a debacle. Like, I'm still Sony's like announcing at their E3 show, like, hey, there's a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3. You can make this game happen. I mean, we actually
it's already
funded
happening.
It, but we're not going to tell you that. We're just going to try to get more money out of you.
Yeah, that was shitty.
But hey,
I didn't care for that.
It's nice to see that they're all under one house. Everyone's talking about, please put it on Xbox and Switch. Because again, Switch seems like the place that people want to play that game. Same with Xbox, right? Xbox is where Shenmue 2 came out in the first place in North America. So Xbox fans are already connected to Shenmue. The first one was Dreamcast exclusive. The second one was on Xbox, and the third one was only on PlayStation. Like, man, fuck you. Put the trilogy on a single platform, you dicks.
I have played exactly 0 minutes of any Shenmue game.
I put like an hour or 2 in the first one on Dreamcast, and I was like, this is weird. I like it, but it wasn't enough for me to finish it. I'd like to give it another go sometime to see if I'm still interested, because it's an odd duck. Yeah, and all my copious amounts of free time, you know?
Maybe when you retire, you'll get to the Shenmue games. Yeah,
that'll happen. I'll work till I'm dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
God
that's
willing,
not true.
and the creek don't rise.
That's not true. I'm going to be unemployed and die in a gutter somewhere.
It's all right. I'm going to buy some property up in Vermont. We'll build you a little tiny house.
There you go. Because all of my skills are going to be replaced by AI. I can't go back to retail, and in 10 years, writers are going to be pointless. So, what am I going to do in the future? Nothing.
Feed pics.
Be poor.
There's always porn.
There's always porn. Saddest porn you ever saw.
There's a market for everything. Some people like sad. It's happy for deep people, according to Sally Sparrow.
Who knows? All I know is that my future is not bright. But anyway,
sorry,
Retro
man.
RGB
It's fucking sad.
Yeah. Well, this is the shit that keeps me up at night. What am I going to do in 10 years? Probably be really poor.
Don't say doing your wife. Don't say doing your wife. Don't say doing your wife.
Oh, she'll long since have left my broke ass.
Son? Sorry.
Retro RGB reports Famicom Disk System RAM cart in an NES shell. So Muramasa Entertainment, this is just reading this straight out of the article, is now selling a version of the Famicom Disk System RAM cartridge, but in a standard-sized NTSC Nintendo Entertainment System cartridge. So what I think this means is that...
Yeah, I was going to say, tell me why I care about this.
You'll still need to connect an original disk system floppy drive or an FDS emulator at the FDS key to play games. So it looks like this allows you to connect the Famicom disk system to an NES.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think. Is that cool?
It is.
Is that a thing that people would do? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't... So, if you can't play Famicom... You can play Famicom disk system games through an NES, through an EverDrive, but sure. You can't get the audio, because the disk system had a whole separate audio thing. So, it's pairing with this thing that connects to that expansion port in the bottom of the NES, and then you plug this cartridge into the front of your NES, like in the regular cartridge slot, and it's got the cables involved, and there you go. Your NES will play a Famicom disk system, which is really neat. It's extremely niche, but I think it's super cool. I love that this exists.
That is cool.
So there's 2 different versions. I'm watching this video about it right now. Oh, so this is there's a version of it. Oh, okay. So there's one that has a cable that comes out of the cartridge itself. All right, so one of them is the cartridge basically just lets your NES boot into the Famicom disk system, and then the other one has a cable that comes out of the cartridge itself for top-loader NESs that didn't have that expansion port.
Huh.
I love it. This is so insane. This is such a niche product, and I love that it exists.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
That's really fucking cool.
You know what else is really fucking cool? Go Nintendo reports Nintendo and Godiva Animal Crossing themed chocolates are set to return. Sadly, it's only in Japan. I wish it wasn't only in Japan, because come on. These look amazing. I want Animal Crossing themed Godiva chocolates. There's a chocolate with Tangy's face on it, for crying out loud. Give me.
That is not a bad thing.
I love chocolates. Let's see.
I do too. Not right now.
This time around, there are 2 different options. First up is a new version of Animal Crossing Collab, which nets you a box of 6 chocolates for $13, or a box of 10 for $22. There's also a Pikmin option that features milk chocolates filled with apple, strawberry, or vanilla cream. You can get a box of 4 for $14.45, or a box of 7 for $22. There's also a box of 4 with a set of pouches, which is also priced at $22. They are limited time items available in Japan from January 8th to February 15th, 2025.
We need to make friends with people who live in Japan.
Yeah. Or people with fuck you money.
Well, yeah, certainly.
Let's see. Time Extension reports, to the shock of absolutely nobody, Sega is trying to shut down the Super Sega FPGA project.
I saw that, yeah.
We talked about this Super Sega thing, and they're like, nah, we got this. They're not going to sue us. We're fine.
No. Totally cool.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're... Like, they're using their logo. They're using Sega and their font, but they're just putting Super in front of it. What are you doing? You absolute criminals. Like, what was it? Let's see. Sega has approached Alejandro Martin, the lead behind the project, asking for the Super Sega name to no longer be used, all prototypes units be destroyed, the closure of the Super Sega website, and details on units sold and money generated by the project so far. We have seen the documents related to this case and have contacted the company employed by Sega to protect its IP in Spain, and has confirmed the legitimacy of this reproach. The team behind the system, blah, 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 blah. The preview said it wasn't concerned Sega might step in over the name and has already opened a dialogue with the Japanese giant on the topic. Martin has also told Time Extension that the name change will be considered, but production will not be stopped unless Sega is prepared to cover the cost, expenses, and what consumers paid. Martin tells us that if Sega does not agree to these terms, we think we will continue.
Do ya? Is that what you think?
This is pretty bold.
Sega came in and said, fuck you, and then we responded, fuck you. So we're kind of at a stalemate.
Yeah, let's see. The last paragraph of this article, if you were in two minds about the legitimacy of this venture, which will this news encourage you to support Super Sega or whatever it'll be called, or should it actually be made to crowdfunding? There's something about the team. They had already taken a bunch of people's money. Oh, right.
Yeah.
This will generate funds in addition to the catch, which has already been taken from those who have pre-ordered Super Sega, but later found that the full cost had been charged. So this is pretty not on the up and up.
Scam is apparently a scam. Huh.
Yeah, not feeling too confident about this one.
Yeah.
Good comedy.
How do people keep fucking falling for it?
I don't know, man. People like Sega. They look at a product and say, "Yeah,
sure.
I'd like to have that. Why not?" Well, see, this is something that the general population does not give a solitary fuck about this stuff. I had some run-ins with over the Black Friday sale. As the social media person, we decided to promote a couple of our posts on Facebook. Boost them.
Yeah.
And
pay a couple extra bucks and yeah.
The general public did not care for anything that we posted. We would post like a Sega Genesis system with like a couple controllers for like $80. It was like a Genesis and Sonic 1, Sonic 2 wireless controller, like a pretty decent bundle. And everyone's like, I can emulate this shit for $20. You guys are fucking criminals and you should go out of business and you should all die in a fire. And you think I'm exaggerating? I am not. They're like, I do not. You should go out of business. I do not think so. Like, you guys are criminals. You're thieves. All you should go to hell. Like, what the fuck? Like, okay, good for you. You can emulate this stuff. This isn't for you. This is for people who want to play stuff on original hardware. We put up an N64. It was like pretty expensive. It's like, you guys are insane charging this. But so I paid $20 for this top. You're going to pay $20 for an N64? Okay, good luck. Maybe you'll find one at a yard sale for that price. That's not what this stuff goes for anymore. Why are you commenting on this? Like, just keep scrolling. This is what I don't understand about social media, and I'm so fucking glad I'm not on it anymore, because it's infuriating. Nobody can just keep scrolling. It's just like, I have to let you know how fucking terrible you are anonymously. You can't say shit to me. Doesn't matter. There are no consequences for my actions. I will say whatever the fuck I want to piss off whoever the fuck I want. Fuck you all. Just middle fingers all around. And I hate it. We're never boosting anything on Facebook ever again.
Not as long as you are social media fuckface.
Not as long as I'm here.
That's your official title, right?
That is my official title. It's on my business card. Social media fuckface. Speaking of fuckfaces, Nintendo Life reports Ubisoft closes 2 studios and will reportedly lay off hundreds of employees.
Who knew? Who could have seen that coming?
The new free-to-play shooter X Defiant has also been axed. So, much like Concord, except, obviously living a bit longer than Concord, yet another
not much
free-to-play shooter is shutting down on June 3rd, 2025. So it's getting a little bit of time.
I'm going to check out the new Marvel one.
I heard it's great. Mike's been playing it.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see if it works well on the Steam Deck. Then maybe I'll play it. If it doesn't, I don't think I'll play it on the 5. But maybe I don't know. I'll give it a shot. I'm not super interested in it. I don't love the character designs.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know.
Quote, Ubisoft had hoped the game would compete with Call of Duty, but recently was denying shutdown rumors amid declining playing numbers. Yeah, so the game got off to an okay start, then was just hemorrhaging players because there's just not a market. There's not a market for like 35 of these games out there. There's barely a market for 2 of them. Like, I was talking to Mike earlier, and he's saying this Marvel game is probably going to take a chunk out of Overwatch. Okay, well,
cool.
Wouldn't it be cool if this motivated Overwatch to do something innovative to compete? But like, you can't have 5 of these things. You want to have 2 of them? Cool. 3 maybe tops.
Yeah.
But there's just you can't have all of these massive online all the time games. There's just not enough hours in the day.
Well, yeah,
and it's costing people jobs again.
Yeah,
it's costing people jobs. More shutdowns, more layoffs. As Yves Guillemot, or whatever heck his name is, president of Ubisoft, is rolling in the dough because he's not going to take a hit, but everybody who works for him is. Meanwhile, Kotaku reports failed party shooter Foam Stars is ending, but getting a better death than Concord. So Foam Stars, unsurprisingly, is, you know, this was the nifty looking not Splatoon game. That like I think it was pretty obvious this wasn't going to go anywhere because Splatoon exists.
It was okay.
Yeah,
but it wasn't Splatoon, and Splatoon is great, and all of the things that make Splatoon great and interesting were the things that were missing from Foam Stars. Unfortunately, like, it just didn't have any of the charm, you know, like, there's not a ton of people that are out there playing Splatoon, I don't think, because it is the most accurate, realistic hero shooter that there is. No, it's its own unique thing, and it captured its audience. So what's cool is this says, like Sony's failed hero shooter Concord, it's now being abandoned. Unlike that game, however, Square Enix will keep the lights on so fans can keep playing if they want. Foam Stars Party Goes On season will go live on December 13th and run through January 2025. After that, season updates from Foam Star will be coming to an end. While this means there will be no further seasons, the game's servers will remain online, and there will be some in-game Foam Stars Cup competitions that continue after that point. So that's great. Yeah, you got to put the money into it. You know, this is nice. Way to go, Square Enix. Not a statement that I thought I'd be saying anytime thought
soon,
I would ever say.
But you know, way to
go, Square Enix.
Way to do right by your customers there.
Way to be, Duck.
Last but not least, Time Extension reports Evercade and SNK are joining forces to celebrate the artistry and legacy of Neo Geo.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yep. Sold. Love that.
Quote, this partnership with SNK is a milestone moment for Blaze. These games represent some of the most iconic and innovative titles in gaming history, and to bring them to our family of products is a privilege. This partnership isn't just about adding great games, it's about celebrating the artistry and legacy of Neo Geo in a way that's accessible to fans old and new. We're thrilled to give these classics a new platform in 2025. This is such a good move for Evercade. Like, Neo Geo games on Evercade, those are, you're speaking to the exact audience. Like, yep, those are going to do well. I have no doubt in my mind those are going to do well. I have been in contact with Blaze Entertainment trying to get us to be able to deal with them direct because we just can't keep their products in stock, and unfortunately they're not taking any new clients right now. So Stone Age Gamer, we still got to go through our regular distributor who hasn't had any hardware in a year. They've released new hardware. We've never even had access to it. But we still sell out of their games constantly. So that they are going to be reaching out to our distributor to be like, you need to get some product in there so your customers can sell them. Which is the same thing we needed to do with our with them. What was it, last year? I was pushing them. They needed to get more stuff from 8BitDo because we can't meet 8BitDo's minimums to be a distributor. We're just not that big of a company. But there's a ton of their products that we can sell very well that
not with
our
the size
distributor
of Ryan's boat.
No, true. Well, you got to store them somewhere. Got to store those retro receivers somewhere. It's a big yacht.
I just want to go on it once. That's all. I just want to be invited to a yacht party.
Not going to happen.
Come on, right. That's fucked up, man. I'll shill. What do you want me to shill?
All right, that's going to wrap us up for week-old news, and that's going to wrap up the second part of the show. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Alphabet Super Series. We're going to get things in order. We're going to make this Super Series even super-er. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from geekade.com. Stick around.
We are Safe at Home, the leading dog rescue in the heart of New Jersey. Are you searching for a loyal companion, a dog that will bring love and joy to your home? Look no further than Safe at Home. At Safe at Home, we believe in giving every dog a second chance. We rescue, rehabilitate, and find loving forever homes for dogs in need, right here in the Garden State. Our dogs are ready to make a lasting impact on your life. Each one has a unique story, a wagging tail, and an incredible capacity for love. When you adopt from Safe at Home, you're not just gaining a pet, you're becoming a part of our family. Our dedicated team ensures a seamless adoption process, providing ongoing support and guidance. With New Jersey's beautiful parks, beaches, and trails, you and your new furry friend will have endless opportunities for adventures and cherished memories. Safe at Home relies on the support of compassionate individuals like you. Your donations and volunteer work enable us to continue saving lives and finding forever homes for these amazing dogs. Join us in creating a safer, happier community for dogs in New Jersey. Together we can make a difference and give every dog the chance to feel safe at home. Visit our website or call us now to learn about how you can be a part of the Safe at Home mission. Safe at Home, because every dog deserves to be loved and protected. www.safeathomerescue.org.
Hey there, Stone Age Gamer fans. Are you also fans of Star Trek? Well, maybe you'd like to listen to yet another podcast, maybe yet another Star Trek podcast. You see, me and my friend Majid, every other week, we talk about the original series, we talk about Strange New Worlds, we talk about Star Trek. We have a third friend, Brad, who's sometimes here, but he hasn't been. I don't know why. So come on over and listen to our show, Yet Another Star Trek Podcast, at yetanothersTpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
When you hear the words cross-stitch, you probably think of a grandma lovingly making a Christmas stocking, a picture of a lighthouse, or maybe a Bible verse with flowers. But that's not what we do at Shoot the Moon Stitches. We take the old-fashioned art of cross-stitch and pair it with contemporary themes and imagery to create striking works of art that make the perfect gift for anyone who grew up with the internet and has a wicked sense of humor and an appreciation for pop culture. From cult favorite TV shows and movies, to retro video games, to TikTok trends. If it's made you smile, chances are we've stitched it. You can shop our selection of art and gifts by going to Etsy.com and searching Shoot the Moon Stitches. For all your fun, feminist, fandom fiber art needs, visit Shoot the Moon Stitches.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Andy. Neither of us are David Crane, but we are the hosts of David Crane's Amazing Movie Time.
That's our monthly Geekade Patreon exclusive podcast that covers movies that are cult classics, weird, or just sometimes laughably bad.
We ourselves have at least two of those qualities, so I guess it makes sense to hear what we think of those movies in retrospect.
You can hear all that and more by becoming a Geekade Patreon supporter.
And, as always, be kind, rewind.
Do you enjoy the Stone Age Gamer podcast and other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network? Do you wish you could listen to them sooner than the regular unwashed masses? Do you wish you could contribute in some way? Well, then you should check out the Geekade Patreon. Yes, the Geekade Patreon is a wonderful and very much appreciated way for you to help us pay the bills and keep our shows running week after week. As a Geekade patron, you'll get a monthly podcast topic schedule and early access to nearly every show on the Geekade Podcast Network, as well as access to a patron-exclusive monthly monthly show called DC's Amazing Movie Time from the creators of the Weekend Rental podcast. So head on over to patreon.com/geekade and become a loved and appreciated member of the Geekade Patreon team and get early access to shows like the Stone Age Gamer podcast, this week's episode, Turning Tracks, and a whole lot more. See you there. All right, everybody, we are back, and it's time to discuss the Alphabet Super Series. We've been doing this for a little while now. We're up to the letter S?
Blort.
Sorry, I'm just looking at your list, and I'm like, wait, no.
Silent Debuggers is the last one.
T, Silent Debugger. So where did this go awry? Okay, this starts at B. That's what the problem is. Okay.
Yes, because the first column is fixed.
Yeah, got it. Okay, that's cool. It's cool. It's all right.
Yeah,
cool. It's good.
I didn't think I don't know if there's a way to change that on Google. I don't spend that much time on Google Sheets, but
I understand. Yeah. But yes, we're almost through our first run in the alphabet, and we thought that to spice this up a little bit, we should be doing some rankings on these things, or rank them, or just grade them. What do you think? And then we can do a big thing at the end of the year, going back, which was the best, which was the worst. So we're just going to grade them, right? That's the plan. That's how we feel about this. How do you feel about this?
So I've got them broken down. So we had discussed off the air, right, of doing the old GamePro style thing. Yeah. And I did 4 of the 5 because I just had some time. I did 4 of the 5. I took out the challenge one, mostly because a few of these games that we played have multiple challenge levels. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was kind of silly to include then as an overall score, because do I rank it higher because it's hard? Unfair. Yeah. I just didn't like it. So I ranked them on a scale of 1 to 5 in graphics, sound, control, and fun factor, going with most of what GamePro used to do. So then I have totals for everything. So we can do it either way. If you want to go through and break each one down into those 4 categories right now, I've got that done already. We can do it. That's going to take way more time than just saying, where does Alicia Dragoon go? Okay. Because I can look directly at my list and say where it goes.
Well, I like ranking them. I like grading them. I think that's fun, and I think I'm going to do that real quickly. So let's break it down. Alicia Dragoon, graphics. What'd you think?
3.
That's exactly where I'm going to put that. 3. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty decent looking game for Sega Genesis. Didn't blow up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is insane good looking, but it was a pretty solid looking game. Yeah. Sound, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking a 3 for sound on that one.
2.5. That's where I was. I just don't love the way the Genesis sounds.
Oh, okay. I forgot you could do halves on this one.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm going 3.5 for the graphics, because I really did like the way this game looked. Again, didn't blow me away, but I did think it looked pretty solid. Control, I don't remember this controlling particularly great. Again, it's been a long time since I played it. Yeah, I'm good. I'm with you. 2.5. And then fun factor overall, I didn't finish it. I'm going to put it slap dab right in the middle at a 3.
That's where I put it. I've got a total of 11.
All right. Okay. Cool. Batman, Return of the Joker. This was the NES version, right?
Yes.
Okay. Graphics, yep. 4.5 at least, I think.
I went 4.
Okay.
There's a couple, 4.
That's fair. Yeah, I can agree with you on a 4.
I could see a 4.5. I wouldn't be mad, but
the sprites were very big. I think Batman himself looked really good, but there were a few wonky bits. Yeah. Sound. I'm feeling confident about a 4.5 on that. I really like the sound of this game. Control. It's been a while since I played it, but I don't remember liking the controls in this. I feel like I didn't like this game very much. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can stick with a 3, and I think it might go.
I don't think this one controls as well as Batman, the first one.
No, it does not. It definitely does not. No.
And that one is still kind of weird to control, but it works once you get it.
Yeah. This one, I didn't feel good about this one.
Yeah.
Fun factor, I think I'm going to go 2.5 on this one. I don't remember liking it very much. I could be wrong. I could go back and listen to the episode and be like, I thought this was fucking great. But just going off my gut, I'm going to say I don't think I like this all that much, and I'm going to 2.5. What'd you give it?
I got a 3 on this one. I don't like it as much as the first Batman, but it's a good game.
Yeah.
You know.
Solid. Nothing
Overall,
amazing. Solid.
Yep. 14 overall.
Boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. Contra Legacy of War. Let's see. Graphics. Oh, see, I was thinking of 0.5, but I think you're right. You could at least tell what the graphics were. So, yeah, 1.
Yes.
Sound was fine. I don't remember this game sounding particularly bad, so I'm going to go middle of the road on a 3 on that.
I still gave it a 1 because I hated it.
Just in a spite. Control, 1. Control is 1, sure. Fun factor, can we give zeros?
Yeah, we could. I'm
going to give it a 0.5 because I had fun talking about it.
Sure. I gave it a 0. This game gets a grand total of a 3 from me. It is among the worst games I've ever played.
It was pretty putrid for sure. I thought it sounded fine.
Sure, I'm sure it does. I don't fucking remember. No, didn't it? No. What did I hate about the sound? When you got to the end of the level, didn't it yell something fucking stupid?
I don't know. I think that was just you. I think it was you. I think you were yelling something.
No, I was definitely yelling fucking stupid shit. That's for sure. But doesn't it yell like some fucking edgelord aggro 90s nonsense at the end of each level?
If it does, then I'm adding a point.
No, fuck that game.
All right, Demon's Crest. Graphics, 5.
Yep.
If I could give it a 5.5, I would. This game is gorgeous. This game sounds gorgeous. It also gets a 5. Control is where I'm going to ding it. I'm going to go down to a 3 on Control. I didn't like the way this game felt. I think that was really where I was at with this game. It's a good game. It doesn't feel right to me. So I'm going to ding this. I'm going to bring it down to 3.5 on Control.
I've got it
give
at a 4.
A 4. And the fun factor, I'm also going to bring it down to a 3 for me personally. It's this game. The actual gameplay did not impress me.
I've got the fun factor as a 4 as well.
All right, fair enough.
So I've got an 18 total. I think this is a fucking great game.
I know it's a great game. It just, for me personally, didn't catch me as much as I wanted it to. So
for sure, there is some wonk. There's some jank in there.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. I think there's definitely a reason this didn't catch on mainstream, and it wasn't just its release timing. Like, this is not a mainstream game for sure. It doesn't have the same appeal as Ghosts and Goblins. And yeah, there's just something ever so slightly off about it. But it wasn't the graphics or sound. This game's gorgeous.
Yeah, for sure.
Eternal Champions.
Another Kris pick.
Graphics. Come on. We both expected this to be better. Like we both thought this was going to be decent. I was surprised at how shit this was. I'm going to go 2 on graphics.
That's where I'm at.
They definitely could have been worse, but they could have been better.
Definitely.
Sound, I'm going to stick with 2. I don't remember it sticking out as particularly offensive, but
nothing to remember.
Yeah. Control, I'm going 1.
Yep.
And yeah, fun factor is going with a 1 because it was more fun than Legacy of War.
Yes, same across the board. Not by much, but that gives it a grand total of a 6 instead of a 3 that Legacy of War got. Woof, indeed.
All right, Flashback. Okay, love the graphics in this. I'm going to give Flashback a 5 in the graphics department. I'm also going to give it a 5 in the sound department.
Really?
Which is tough.
I'm at 4s on both of those.
I adore the visuals in this game. I mean, obviously
I do too, but they're...
it depends on which version we're talking about too, because we played. There was a lot of different versions of this to play.
You talked me into it. I was trying to be harder on these but yeah, you're right.
I wouldn't change a goddamn thing about the graphics or the sound in this. Honestly, they're just fascinating. Control, however, is pretty jank, so I'm going to go with 3 on controls on this.
I went down to 2.5.
Yeah, you know what? I think you've convinced me on that too. I think 2.5
only
is
because
more fair.
Yeah, it just, to me, it feels better because I feel like this is a game where, similarly to Ranger X, like the controls could get so in the way that you're just fucking driven insane by them.
Yeah. And I went with a 3.5 on fun factor on this one.
I'm at a 4 with that one.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't like this one as much as you did, but I wanted to like this a lot, but I couldn't get into it. I don't think I could see myself going back to this, generally speaking, but I appreciate it a lot. It just wasn't for me.
I have gone back to it. So for me,
well, there you go.
You know, I really like this one.
I like it. Guerrilla War. I love this game. Graphics are 3. It's not a pretty game. Like the fire. Remember the fire wave thing? It just looked like a garbled mess of nonsense. Like
it really does.
Just not good. Sound. I like the sound. I'm gonna go 3.5.
I'm at. I'll spoil it. I'm at 3s straight across the board for this one. I find this.
Really?
I enjoyed it. I think it is perfectly middle of the pack.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna shake things up. I'm going 3.5 on the sound. I like the sound in this game. I think the controls great. I'm gonna give this a 4 in controls. I think this controlled perfectly well. You know, it's not perfect, but perfectly well. Like there's things about the tank, the way the tank turns, it's kind of obnoxious. But generally speaking, I didn't wrestle with the controls in this game. And I'm also going to give the fun factor a 4 because I think this game's a blast. Probably just nostalgia, but hey, whatever, man.
Yeah, I mean, the way I feel about Flashback, similar to how you feel about Guerrilla War. Like, I don't have as much nostalgia for it, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah.
Hat in Time. I like the way this game looks.
I am at a 4.5 on graphics for this one.
I'm going to give it a 4. But then again, I played the Switch version, so which wasn't bad. Yeah. The Switch version was actually pretty impressive, all things considered, for an indie game. But I'm just curious. Wow. Hat in Time was 16.3 gigs on Switch.
That's big. It's a big game. It's got a lot of download. Is that including the Yakuza Metro and other DLCs? It probably is
including the DLCs.
Okay.
That game is several times beefier than Plucky Squire. Even that insane amount of install is more impressive than the over 10 for Plucky Squire. Anyway, back to business here. Sound. I liked the sound of this. I think I'd also give it a 4.
I gave this a 5. You didn't get, I don't think, far enough to get to some of the better tracks in the game.
I didn't.
There's some really, really outstanding music in this game, especially when you get to Snatcher and shit in the woods. There's some really great stuff. I love this. Like, this is a soundtrack I would buy on vinyl kind of thing.
Okay. No, I liked the sound. I'd give it a 4.
Yeah.
Control, I think I will give I want to say 3.5 on this one. I remember struggling with the camera quite a bit in this game.
I feel like it's more of an issue on the Switch than it is on other systems. I could be wrong on that.
I imagine the camera system's the same on every platform, but I guess I could be wrong. I didn't play it anywhere else. From what I understand, there's some lag that crops up at certain points that affects it. I haven't played the Switch version. I've only played it on the 4 and the 5. So I was a 4 at Control. And again, like, surprising the shit out of me more than anybody else, I don't like these kinds of games. Oh, apparently
good games are good games. No, I don't.
Good games.
I don't. Good games are good games.
And for me, I'm going to stick with the fun factor. I didn't like this game nearly as much as you did. I'm going to give it a 3.5. A little bit above middle of the road for me.
Yeah, I was 4.5 on this. This one is very high up there for me.
Boy, now we come to Incredible Crisis. And how do you rate a game like Incredible Crisis?
I did. I don't know that I did it well.
I don't know that you can. This game's insane.
It is.
Graphics.
3.
Yeah, I think 3 is fair. I mean, I might even push a 3.5 if it was a little bit
cleaner,
better, but a little bit cleaner. Yeah.
But 3
sound 3.
2.5.
I'm going
I was
3.
at 2.5.
I think it was nice. Control ? Everything's so different.
Yeah, some of the control worked really well, and then others was like, what is even happening?
Yeah, sure, I'll go with 2. And fun factor, I'm also going to go with a 2.
Yeah, 2.5, because I did enjoy some of the things that I did.
Yeah, I can give it a 2.5. I can agree with that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
What a weird-ass game.
Yeah.
What a weird-ass game. All right, speaking of your favorite genre, Jersey Devil.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
For a PS1 game?
Nah, I didn't like it. Graphics, I was at a 2.5.
Oh, I think that's a little harsh. I think for a PS1 game, this game at least looked nice.
That's fine.
I think I'd give it a 3. Yeah, middle of the... I think 3 is fine. 3 is middle of the road. I think it's a solid... It's not a bad-looking PlayStation 1 game. Sound is fine. Sound, I don't remember
2.
Feeling too good about. I'm gonna 2 that one. Controls, I'm also gonna give it 2. I didn't like the way this game controlled. I felt that to be frustrating.
Yeah. 1.5. I hated turning the fucking camera with the shoulder buttons.
Yeah, that's not good.
Nope, not fun. Which impacted my score on the fun factor.
Yeah,
I was at a 2.
I think that's exactly where I'm landing as a 2. I'm going to stick with my 2 on the controls because I didn't like the camera either, but also I thought that given that this was pre DualShock, right? I think given I'm going to give it a half a point pass just because of its age, and I think it made as good of a use of that controller that it could have.
Sure, but
so
you make a fixed camera at that point. You don't, or like an auto tracking you don't.
Yeah, that's fair.
It didn't need what what they gave it.
Fair enough.
In my opinion, All
right, NES Karate Kid.
I mean, I like this game. I like fucking this game awful. A lot. I think. I don't think it's a good game, and I know that upsets you.
Oh, I don't necessarily. I don't think it's I think it's a fine game. It's not it's not the dregs of humanity that people think all LJN games are. I stick up for it in that department. I think the graphics are weird, right? Because most of them are pretty shit, but then sometimes you get some that are okay. I want to say 2.5 on the graphics.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
I love the sound of this game. I'm giving the sound a 4. I think this game's got a great soundtrack. Some of the sound effects kind of suck, but I think the music is wonderful. So
the sound effects took it down to a 2 for me. I fucking hate the sound effects in this game.
Oof. Oh man, I love
and it's just so short
sound.
That I don't hear enough of the music. The soundtrack is good, but it's outweighed by the fucking sound effects.
Yeah, controls of 1 because any game that has the balls to use up to jump is just inexcusable.
I cheated. I gave the controls a 2 because when I played it on the
you remapped
emulator, I mapped it to the X button. Such a better game.
Fun factor.
I'm at a 2.
I'm gonna go 2.5.
I don't think it's very fun.
I can't in good conscience give this a 3 in the fun factor because of how much bullshit there is. But I feel like 2 is too low, so I'm going 2.5.
Yeah. All right, this one I'm curious where you're.
Game. All right, graphics.
I know you do.
5. Graphics are a 5. Life Force is gorgeous.
Life Force.
Yeah,
Life Force is a good looking fucking game.
Really good NES game.
That's where I'm at as well.
Sound. I'm giving it a 5 on the sound. I cannot imagine that game sounding any better than it did.
I'm at a 4. I don't know. Maybe I wanted a little more.
I just can't get enough Konami NES music. I thought it sounded marvelous. I'm into that. The controls, I can't think of any problems I have with the controls.
No, I'm at a 4 on the control.
Yeah, I think 4 is where I'm going to land on that. Yeah, I can't think of any problems, but it's also not sticking out of me like, man, this game felt great. The fun factor, just because I'm not the biggest shmup fan in the world, I'm going to stick with a 4. I don't think I can.
Yeah,
go
that's
higher
where I'm
than
at
that.
too.
Yeah,
because it's really fucking hard.
it is.
It's really hard. Like, and this was the game. Honestly, when I was doing this originally, I had the challenge level in there until I got to Life Force, and then I went, how do I rank this?
Yeah,
because this game is so hard that I could see people saying, like, it looks great, it sounds great, it controls great, and if you don't have the fucking, if you are not a shmup veteran, stay the fuck away, because it's so hard. You know, so that's right there. I was like, let me fucking take this out and kind of just judge it apart from that. But yeah, it's fucking great. It's a great game.
yeah, very good. Okay, Montezuma's Return. Graphics, I gotta give this one... This is a tough category because the animation in this game is really good, but the graphics themselves aren't great.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 3.5.
I was at a 2.5.
I'm feeling a little happier about that. Sounds
It's all right.
Sounds another
2.
one. I love this game's soundtrack. I love the music in this game. I'm gonna give the sound a 3.5 as well. I like the sound of this game a lot more than you do.
Honestly, you could play the entire soundtrack for me right now. I'd have no idea.
I've had the main theme from this song stuck in my head for years. I adore it.
Yeah.
Control gets a 2.
See, I thought it controlled well. I was at a 3 on the control. Or maybe I didn't. I might be misremembering this one.
Yeah, this is the game that's kind of like Spelunker on NES. It's really finicky with the controls, I thought.
All right, yeah, you're right. No, I'm going to drop that down to a 2.
And then Fun Factor, I think, is going to stick at a 2. Yeah. I love this game, but I'm not going to pretend it's more fun than it is.
Yeah, I mean, that feels fair.
All right, cool. Ninja Gaiden, Sega Master System. Graphics
4.
Yeah, okay.
I think this is a good-looking game.
It's a pretty solid-looking game.
It's a good-looking game. There's a lot of varied environments that all look pretty good. You know,
I'm putting it next to the NES game, and I'm like, I don't like the look of this game nearly as much as the NES one, but it is.
I would give the NES one a 5, though.
Yeah,
you know,
same
like
here.
Comparatively saying, like yeah, I think it looks great.
Sound, I
3.
don't like the sound of the Master System. Yeah, it's getting a 3. As Master System sounds go, this isn't terrible, but
no.
Control everywhere except the ice level is pretty fine.
That took it to a 3 for me though. That ice level fucking
3.
is bananas.
And I didn't love it overall, so I think average, right in the middle of the road. I'm giving Fun Factor 3.
Yeah, I'm at a 4 on that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I do like it. Once you get past the ice level, once you let me change what I said. Once you endure the ice level, once it happens to you, I think everything before it is really fun. Everything after it is pretty fun. But you have to get through that little bit of a personal trial. But yeah, I really like this game. This one, the next one, On the Ball. I'm just going to go with what you say because I didn't play it.
I think you should play it before we're done with the alphabet and give it a score. So
I will.
Don't take my scores, but I'm going to score it now.
Okay, I didn't remember that I didn't play it until I went to do the list. And then I was like, what the fuck did we do for Oh yeah, that was the episode I was sick.
Right.
Like that was early on in the chemo. It was like it hit me so hard.
Graphics. I like the graphics, but I don't love them. But I do think it's technically impressive the way it uses Mode 7 for the whole damn thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to I'm going to graphics this one a 3.5. The sound is fine. I'm going to give the sound a 3. This is a tough one. Control is a really difficult category because you have 2 different control options. The regular controller, I would knock the controls down to like a 2.5 because I just found the regular controller to be insufficient. But you can also play this with a Super NES mouse, and that opened this game up so big for me. So just based on the fact that I played it with the mouse, I'm going to give the controls a 4 because
Wow.
I thought that was
Okay.
really good. The game felt so fun with the 4, like with the mouse. Like it just changed entirely. Fun factor. I liked this game. I didn't love it, but I liked it. So I think the fun factor. This is tough.
Sounds like a 3.5.
I'm somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. I don't know if it's quite 4 there. I think I'm going to go 4. I think I'm going to be bold on this one. I'm going to be bold.
Right.
And I'm going to claim this one to be a 4 in the fun factor. I really did have a ball with this one.
4 on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Power Blade 2, Electric Boogaloo.
All right. I feel weird about my scores on this one because I am pretty solidly middle of the road on this game in all of these things, but I also think it's awesome because like this scoring system leaves out things like quirk and atmosphere and, you know, so graphics, I think this one looks pretty good. I'm at a 3.5 for graphics on this one.
That's exactly where I feel I am, and that's exactly where I feel I am for the sound.
I was a 3 on the sound.
I'm good with the 3.5. It's not great, but it's slightly above average by NES standards. I think
you can talk me into it. I'll change it right now.
You don't need to.
Fuck.
You don't need to.
No, I changed it. It's already done.
Fine, I'm going down to a 3. Fuck you. Control. I don't remember loving the feel of this. It's fine. I'm going 3.
3.5.
I'm going 3. And fun factor,
slightly above average.
Yeah. Fun factor. This game didn't wow me in that department, so I'm going to stick with a 3.
I am 3.5s across the board.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think it's an awesome game. I think it's the storyline alone, I think bumps this up to a 10 of like aliens and the president and just all the fucking nonsense of it. Like 100%. That bumps this way up. But like actually trying to look at it objectively, you know, it's better than average, but not by much.
Qbert. Qbert, I love the way this game looks. I think this game looks fantastic. But specifically the PlayStation one. Remember the Dreamcast one had the weird, like weird issues. I like the graphics on this. I'm giving it a 4.
I was at a 3. I think it looks fine.
Sound, I'm giving a 3.
Sound, I went down to 2.
Control, I'm gonna go because it's Qbert. There really isn't a good way to do it without arcade joystick. So I'm gonna go. I'm sticking with 3 on that. And I really enjoyed this game, so I'm giving it a 4 in fun factor.
Yeah, I gave it 3 in fun factor. Like I like Qbert. You know, it's fine. Not my favorite. Like, if I'm going to an arcade and there's a bunch of classic machines, Qbert is not the one that I'm grabbing or I'm gravitating towards first. You know, that's like Burger Time is where I'm headed. I fucking love Burger Time. Anyway.
I need a burger right now.
I would not. It would not go well for anyone. All right, so last game, last week.
Ranger graphics
5.
Are fantastic. Yeah, I'm
oh my
giving
god,
this one a 5.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Sound,
I'm going
4.5.
4.5. Yeah. Yep.
100%. Sounds great. There's the only reason this did not get a 5 from me in sound is the weird explosion noise that happens a lot in the 3rd level. I was like, all right. Oh god. All right,
cool,
Control.
Crunchy, a little flatulent.
2.
I mean, ambitious, but 2 is exactly where I was landing on that. Yeah.
Because it works, but
you
gotta work.
Yeah. You gotta earn it. And that's what brings its fun factor, to me, down to a 1.5. I'm not gonna go as bad.
I was at a 2.
I wasn't gonna go as bad as 1, but this game just so disagreed with me. Like, I get it, but no, not for me.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's hard. All right. So we did it.
Yeah.
So now give me your rankings.
Oh, I wasn't adding them up as we go. I wasn't adding them up as we go.
Well,
there should
add
be
them
an
while
algorithm.
I give mine.
There should be an algorithm.
There should. I don't know how to do that. Again,
I don't know how to do that
I am
either.
not good. I am not good at spreadsheets. I don't know how to do that part. All right. Well, I will go backwards just for the sake of having it on the record. All right, watch. I get it. It's time to stand. Fuck off. I have 17 games on my list. On the Ball is pending. Going from 17 up to number 1. All right. Let me just reorder my list just to make sure that it is in Z2A. All right. Cool. Number 17, no surprise, Contra Legacy of War. I cannot imagine we're going to have anything that tops that, as far as being worse than that. I can't imagine we have anything that bottoms that. Number 16, Eternal Champions. 15, Jersey Devil. 14, Karate Kid. 13, Incredible Crisis. 12, Montezuma's Revenge. 11, Qbert. 10, Alicia Dragoon. 9, Ninja Gaiden. 8, Guerrilla War. Both of those tied with a 12. 7, Ranger X, because, man, the graphics and the sound are doing a lot of heavy lifting there. 6, Power Blade 2. And 5, Batman Return of the Joker, both tied with 14s. Number 4, Life Force. Number 3, Flashback. And number 2 and number 1 tied with 18 points apiece. Out of 20, Demon's Crest and A Hat in Time.
Okay, I'm almost there.
I think that is accurate. I changed a couple of these as we were talking, because you talked me into a couple. I think I moved everything over as I should have. If I didn't, we'll revisit. No, I didn't change Ninja. That's what I didn't change. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden, I'm actually... That bumps it up 2 spots from 10 to 8 because I had it at 14. I have 3 games at a 14. Batman Return of the Joker, Power Blade 2, Ninja Gaiden on Master System. I feel that's pretty fucking accurate for those 3. Right there, kind of right in the middle.
All right. Let's see. How do I put these in numerical order? All right. What's the lowest? Well, I don't see anything lower than Contra Legacy of War at a 5.5. Then I've got Eternal Champions at 6. Jersey Devils at 9. Let's see. That's all the single digits. Now we got 10s. I got Karate Kid at a 10. I got Incredible Crisis at 10.5. I've got Montezuma's Return at 11. I got Alicia Dragoon at a 12. Let's see, we got a couple of 13s here. Tied at 13, I got Ninja Gaiden, Power Blade 2, Ranger X. Yep, and then we've got 14s. We've got Qbert at 14, and Return of the Joker at 14. And then we got a 14.5 at Guerrilla War. Another 14.5 on the Ball. And then we've got 15. I saw a 15 around here somewhere, didn't I? No. I got a 16 Flashback, 16.5 Demon's Crest. Oh, there's the 15. Hat in Time was a 15. 16.5 Demon's Crest, which puts Life Force 18 at my number 1.
Wow. That's a really good fucking game, man.
It is.
Really good game.
Demon's Crest was 16.5. Yeah, I mean, without really taking the time, I think that's as close as I'm going to get to where my rankings are. When we do the final rankings at the end of the alphabet, I'll do that a little bit more thoroughly. But yeah, it looks like Life Force is the one to beat. I don't think Silent Debuggers is going to beat it.
I don't think so. I'm predicting. I have not played Silent Debuggers in 20 years. It's those first-person dungeon crawling games are weird. I don't hate them. I just haven't spent a lot of time with a lot of them because they're just not my favorite. But I do remember liking it when I was younger. So I don't know. It
certainly looks interesting.
I'm predicting we'll hit somewhere in the middle with that one.
Yeah, I suspect the same. But it's a game that I'm going to be glad to be able to say that I have played.
I am dreading picking for the letter T. There's just so much.
There's a lot.
There's so much
there.
for S too, but there's just so much.
Yeah, I almost picked Saturday Night Slam Masters.
Oh, dude, that would have been number one for me. Like, full disclosure, I fucking love that game. I adore that game.
I have very little
not a
experience
perfect
with
game by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's fucking dope as shit. I fucking love it.
Well, as long as you don't pick Tough Enough for T.
I mean, now that you said it out loud, I kind of wanna.
Technically, you could put that under H for Hey Punk, are you tough enough? Since that's what the box says.
I'm definitely not going to. There's just some really interesting stuff under the letter T that I'm waffling on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I had my shot with S, and there's just so many great S games, and I went with Silent Debuggers for TurboGrafx 16. I don't know what's wrong with me. Other than it's a weird-ass TurboGrafx 16 game that I've never played, so what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, do I just cheat and say Tony Hawk's Pro Skater? Just play the first 5s across the board. Perfect fucking game. Do we
I wouldn't say no. I've played very little of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh my god,
that would be an interesting pick. Make me spend some time with that game.
I think everybody else has played it though.
I think I'm not saying I haven't played it. I just haven't played it much.
Sure.
Like, do just the demo. Do the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater demo.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's all you fucking need. I mean, you don't. That's everything you need. Oh, or maybe like
Tao Feng, Fist of the Lotus for Xbox. There you go.
Oh yes,
that's a winner.
Yes, so good. We're supposed to be picking fun games, right? Just, I don't know. You would pick fucking Tao Feng, motherfucker.
I would not pick Tao Feng. Fuck no. I'm not going to intentionally play that game ever again in my life. I will. Tecmo Baseball would be high on my list. Love that dumbass game.
So where my head's at currently, just to put it out there, I'm not saying this is going to be my pick, but where I'm leaning, just because I'm curious, is Twisted Metal 2.
Oh boy, I don't think I've ever even played that.
Because fuck did I love Twisted Metal 2. And like had a little notebook with all the codes written in it and like the whole fucking thing. But I'm kind of curious how it stacks up in this kind of that's kind of where my head's at right now. But that could change in a couple weeks because I don't have to make the pick right now.
Dude, Tetris for Game Boy complete in box is going for $111.
That's not much.
Tetris for Game Boy, $111, over $100 for the most common Game Boy game?
Yeah, but it's a perfect game.
What the fuck?
But I would imagine that getting that game in box is not the way most people had it.
That's a good point. Yeah, I guess
the Game Boy didn't come with the box, right?
Yep,
it came in the box.
I'm looking at the prices now. Just the box is the bulk of the price. The game itself loose is $16. The manual is only worth $5. Box is worth at least $73. So there you go.
Yeah,
yep, that's what it is. All right, that tracks. That tracks. Right. It's like Super Mario World, right? Super Mario World on its own is worthless. You got to complete in the box. You got fucking money on your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of Tetris games. Tetris DX also. Tetris DX is $60.
Yeah.
Tetris DX is great. See, that's the thing.
I got time.
Game Boy Tetris is very good, but the DX for Game Boy Color, I think, is superior. I really do.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that I don't. Oh, do I make us play through Tenshu? Fucking love that.
Teknu.
Fucking Dreamcast Tennis.
Ooh, good old Tiny Toon Adventures.
I mean, there's so much.
I haven't played through Tiny Toon Adventures on NES in so long. God, what a good game.
Yeah, I am saying though that games that start with the word "the" do not fucking count because that's how I cheated a hat in time into this. So
yeah,
like anybody who listens to this and they're like, "Oh, you should play the fucking your mother."
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh shit. All right. That's it. I'm done.
You're
done.
it. Yeah. Well, let's call it a night. 10 o'clock. Good times. We did it. Hard out. That's our show, everyone. Join us next time for the next stop on the SAG Cartoon Express. We're going to be discussing Double Dragon Season 2, Episode 3, Virtual Reality Bites. I'm sure this one's going to be... I have a good feeling about it in my heart, in my soul.
This is the good one. This is the one. Yeah, this gets us right back on track.
That's right. We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all matter of other fun stuff like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. If you'd like to get early access to this show's episodes, as well as a bevy of other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network, check out our Patreon, also linked to in the show notes. Helps keep the show running week after week, and all our patrons are loved and appreciated. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by banjo guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making the show listenable for all you folks. We'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That's it. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.
I'd like to thank Evan for listening, too. He does listen.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Kind of.
That's what I appreciate about him.